How's it going, everybody? I am Kyle from Fantasy Forge, and we are joined by our newest player today of the Adventures of Middle-earth kind of double campaign that we have going on. We are currently playing Eriador Adventures, and so a little bit different. So a brief little explanation about kind of how everything looks right now with Adventures in Middle-earth. For those who've been keeping up, this might sound a little bit familiar, but this is Adventures in Middle-earth, a D&D 5e campaign set in the world of Middle-earth, taking place between the years of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And the campaign that we have for, 45, 46 sessions already, is Wilderland Adventure. So that's taken place everything east of the Misty Mountains. And one of the adventures that was part of that party was Valineth. And he has made his way back into Eriador, and he's starting to do some of his investigation there. But we are introducing today a new player, and he's played by Cole. I'll let Cole introduce his character a little bit, but yeah, he is going to be one of the new players of the campaign, and for now, this is going to be his session 0, technically, as we kind of get his character started off on his adventure. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to you, Cole.
All right. Can you hear me? Am
Yeah, we
I
can.
good?
You
All right.
sound good, I think.
Hi everyone. I'm Cole. You may recognize me from Cole Forge or Luxalia. But today I'll be Cirion, son of Durafin, the one of the rangers, the Dunedain, um, of the west
Yeah,
area
the
known as
North.
Eriador.
Technically, Ranger of the North.
Of the North.
Yeah.
There we go. Ranger of the North. This ain't Everlast. Or what is it that the Men of the West was
Yeah,
that a
Men of the
thing?
West.
Is
Yeah,
that
Men of the
okay?
West.
Cool. Anyway, um, yeah. So lots of fun things about Cirion. He's dark. He's brooding. He is not Luxalia by any means, and yeah, he's a wanderer, helps people, and seeks to root out the shadow and the enemies of shadow. So
Mhm.
yeah.
A brief little uh, kind of history of the region of Eriador for those who are a little bit more unfamiliar. Yes, that during this time, things are relatively quiet, especially after the fall of Smog, because it is now the year 2948 in the Third Age, and that is 7 years after the fall of Smog. And so now news has spread basically throughout all of Middle Earth that the great dragon of the East is dead, and there has been a period of prolonged, if not prosperity, at least peace. Um, in specifically Wilderland, Mirkwood, that general region. However, in Eriador was basically home to the fallen kingdom of Arnor, which is a faction of the Dunedain moved kind of from the Gondor region up there to the kingdom of Arnor. And there were wars and basically assaults from the Witch King. So Angmar is like the very north of Eriador, so we can actually pull up the map here. Ingmar a little bit is up here, and Fornost is going to be right here. This was basically the stronghold of the men of Arnor, the basically the last of the Dunedain. Essentially, one thing led to another, and the Dunedain were defeated. And because of that, they are a scattered people, and so they are primarily these days will serve as rangers and protectors of the free people of Middle Earth. Their particular roles are to keep the wild safe and to keep the Breeland and specifically the Shire safe as well from attacks from the outside, which is why those two regions, for the most part, experience peace. The vast majority of hobbits don't really know that there's dangers outside of the borders of the Shire, and in the shadows, it's because the Dunedain are at work rooting those out, essentially. And so, as a ranger here, one of Cirion's primary duties is to go around and, as Cole had mentioned, rid Eriador of evil creatures. and specifically those who serve Sauron or are basically cast-offs from the fallen kingdom of Angmar. But because of that, he is currently in the moment out on doing his ranger duties, which brings him to the land of Bree, specifically the Prancing Pony. So a little bit of setup to kind of set the stage here for you, Cole. So Cirion is a let's just say he is a skilled and veteran ranger. He is no new blood when it comes to these lands, and specifically the ones he's familiar with in this northern region. He had received orders recently from Arasil, who is she's kind of sitting in lieu of the chieftains of the Dunedain, as they are still waiting for the newest leader at some point to come of age to be able to take over. But there is a brief period between the death of Eriador and basically the realization of Aragorn, where this is a weird period of time where the Dunedain are now being ruled by a council, mostly a council of elders, a council of kind of veteran, basically veteran Dunedain, and Cirion, being one of the more veteran Dunedain that are in this area that are still of fighting age. You do have words to be able to say, but you're currently tasked with going to Bree. Because of the death of the dragon, because of the fall of Smog and the general prosperity, there are people from the east that are coming to the west in search for trade, in search of exploration, and in search of adventure. You are relatively familiar with the people of Bree for the most part, but it's always good to keep an eye out for news, anything that's coming from the east, anything that's going on in the region, and the Prancing Pony is the best place to do that, pretty much in all of the region. And so, it is a nice late March evening. Twilight is basically just begun. The last bit of sunlight over the hills is peeking through. This is the height of rainy season in Eriador, and fortunately today it is not so. It is actually a beautiful, very pleasant day. This is really the first signs of spring that you have been seeing. You don't get a lot of snow in Eriador, but it is definitely starting to get warmer, which with that brings a lot more travelers, and very much you can tell in the streets of Bree that it is a relatively busy season. You can hear hawkers in the streets at the end of the day finishing selling their wares. You see all kinds of people going to and fro. The Breelanders, especially in comparison to you, are much shorter. So Dunedain are quite tall. What are you, Cirion? Like 5 or 6'5"? 6'5".
Yeah, 6'5".
The average male Breelander stands between 5'5" and 5'4", and so you stand almost a foot over all of them. And then hobbits are even shorter, and so you stand out. But as you stand in front of the door of the Prancing Pony, you and your ward, the person that you are in charge of kind of helping train and taking care of, a young Dunedain by the name of Halbarad, he speaks to you and he says, "Cirion, I know you've got duties to do inside the Prancing Pony, and I'll make sure to join you later, but I will make sure to do my duties about checking out the outer wall and making sure that nobody is trying to sneak in. And, inform me of what you find inside the Prancing Pony. I shouldn't be long. The gates will close soon."
Good. Remember your training. I'll see you soon.
He nods as he departs downwards. So the way that Bree is built is it's just giant hill. Huge hill that stands out, almost kind of like a little mountain. And the city is built up into the side of it. Around the base, on all edges, is this giant wooden fence. And there's only really one way in and out of the town through the main gates. And so as you see Halbarad making his way down the streets of Bree towards the front gate, trying to be relatively inconspicuous, but it's kind of difficult. You make your way inside the Prancing Pony, and you are immediately greeted with joyous laughter, all kinds of people. It is a relatively packed evening. You've seen it as full as like 20 to 25 people, but tonight we're getting close to about 100 people. Nearly every seat is full, save for a couple of them. As you enter, you can see that there are a number of groups, a bunch of locals, those that you are used to seeing that you maybe don't know a lot about, but you have seen in passing. But you also see that there are very much some travelers from around. Barnabas Butterbur, he is the current curator of the Prancing Pony. He is busy at work serving all kinds of people, from hobbits to men. You don't see any elves in the area, but there are definitely plenty of dwarves and also some men who very much look like they're from a different culture. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the reins over to you. So the general layout of the Prancing Pony is it's a pretty open space. There is a fireplace off to the far right, and there, like in the middle, is like basically this kind of rectangular bar, which is where Barnabas is. There are a bunch of regulars that are around the stalls, but most of the travelers that you see are at specific tables. There are two groups specifically that you have actually never seen before. One of them is a group of men, and another is a pair of dwarves. The dwarves are sitting closer to the fireplace, and the men are kind of further off, kind of in a alcove by the window. Of the two of them, I'm going to have you make a perception check for me.
Okay. Oh, and I'm rolling on D&D Beyond. All right. Sorry, I'm used to having dice. All right. Perception. Oh, I guess.
Oh, your volume cut.
Oh.
Okay, you're good.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry, that was weird. Your volume cut out for a hot second.
Oh, weird. I wonder if it's gonna do that when I roll dice. I might have to figure out that. I hadn't how to change that. 21.
21. The dwarves are keeping completely to themselves. From just the general look of them, they seem to be looking like they don't want anyone to bother them. However, the men that are over kind of in the alcove off to kind of the upper part of the tavern, they are joyous, and they've actually started to invite some of the other Breelanders over to their table, and they are sharing in jovial celebration and lots of drinks.
Nice. I'm gonna start by going over to the bar area where what's his name again? I
Barnabas.
should know this. Barnabas. I'm gonna go over there, put down a silver piece, and just
Barnabas says, "What can I get for you?" Well, it's not very often that I see a ranger come in, but you're free to enjoy as much ale as you want, as much warmth and fire. I'm sure you are quite cold after this, relatively chilly day.
It's warming up. I see you have some unfamiliar faces today, besides my own.
This whole time, he is continuously wiping. You've had a couple encounters with Barnabas, but none that are like really anything that is like you walk away with as, oh yeah, like I really know him, I'm a good buddy. But he looks to you and he says, "Indeed, the weather is starting to get warmer. Wintertime is over, and there are a few amount of visitors coming from the east, and the Greenway. The Greenway is the main road that runs like throughout Eriador. The Greenway is busier than ever. Great for business, but let me just say, it's hard to kind of keep up with it. He points over to the dwarves that are sitting at the table. There are a few that can drink an entire bar out. Yes, there are some visitors, and I know that, well, you have your duties. Make sure not to cause too many problems, okay?"
I'll lift up my mug and jauntily walk, just kind of finding a quiet corner or like seat where I can eavesdrop. Probably the group of men first.
You make your way over to a table that's kind of tucked away in the corner. This one is kind of more of like a breakfast nook, and it's relatively hidden. The light here from the fire doesn't quite reach it, as it's like to the right of the fire, and so you're kind of perfectly situated right between the dwarf group and the men group. Obviously, the dwarves are very quiet, but if you want to specifically start eavesdropping on the group of men, you can do so pretty easily. I'm going to have you make a perception check for me.
Cool. And also, can I do this stealthily so they don't notice that I'm doing this?
Yeah, they're
Or
completely distracted. So
Okay.
if you wanted to do it with the dwarves, I would probably have you make a stealth check, but they
Okay.
don't seem to
they're-
be like caring about who's listening in on the
Cool.
conversation.
Okay, and then you said what kind of roll am I making?
Perception.
Perception. Woo! Nat 20 for a 27.
Hot dang. You hear that there are 4 foreigners that are at this table. There's a group of 7, so they've had 5 other Breelanders kind of join them. 2 of them are hobbits, and 3 of them are regular people that you're relatively familiar with. But they're looking for drinking buddies, and so they made their way over to these foreigners. And these foreigners, you learn their names. So there are 3 of them. Arna. She is basically a human woman, and what she's wearing kind of like blue set kind of like winter clothing, so like furs and that kind of stuff, but it's been dyed blue. The man next to her is a guy named Harold, and the guy on the left side of Arna is a young man by the name of Leaf. They all look to be in about their probably mid to late 20s. They are clearly merchants, and they look like they have plenty of wealth. As you sit there, you hear them discuss about where they are from. They are from Bree, or not Bree. They have come to Bree from Esgaroth, which is Lake Town. And you hear them say to the Breelanders, "Oh yeah, we're from Lake Town. It's been it's been quite prosperous there, and we've come to Bree and beyond to be able to sell our wares. We have I don't know if you've heard, but there's a new king up there. Since the death of the Dragon Slayer, Bard, he is quite a strong leader. He rules in Dale, and we technically are not under his tutelage, but as merchants, we do our fair share of trade with them, and he is recently married to a young woman from Dorwinion, a woman by the name of Una. And with her has brought all kinds of famous Dorwinian wine. We have plenty of that to be able to share. I don't think this is quite the place to be able to do so." And Arna, she chimes in. She says, "Yes, indeed. If you want to trade with us a little bit more, out in the market square tomorrow morning, let's say, we have a couple of barrels of special Dorwinian wine that we could be able to sell to you for a very good price." And the hobbits are like, "Huh, I don't even know what a Dorwinian is. If it's as good as what the grapes that we grow in the Shire, well, we'll just have to see." And the young man Leaf, he chimes in. He's like, "Oh, unfamiliar, eh? Some say that Dorwinian wine is the greatest and most luxurious of all the wines that exist throughout all of Middle-earth. It is the perfect conditions for growing grapes, nice arid climate, and well, there's not a lot of war, particularly in that area, to be able to destroy many of the yields. Some of the yields in the past years have been quite good. Trust me, your life will be changed once you try this." And you can see that sitting next to them is a small casket. With that natural 20, it has allowed you to see that they are under the table filling up their, basically small shot glasses of their wine. and they look side to side, and they push it over to the Breelanders and the hobbits, and they take it and they drink it, and they are enamored. That's essentially, basically, they are talking business to some degree.
Okay. Beautiful. Is there anything out of the ordinary, or not so much? Just
As far
wine.
as the stuff that's out of the ordinary is, you definitely notice that they are probably breaking the rules of the establishment, but it's not necessarily anything that's like vile per se. They're making quite a ruckus, and as long as they keep doing it, they're probably bound to be found out. But they seem no threat. They don't seem really anything else. But if there's any information that you want to glean from them by going up and confronting them, you can do so. Not necessarily confronting them in a bad way, but like by speaking with them, you can do so. But they seem pretty open. The general demeanor of the people of Bree is they kind of take a wide berth from you. You don't get that impression from these individuals. You could probably approach them if you wanted to.
Okay. I will approach them.
Okay.
And make my presence known. I'll sit, kind of hit my tankard on the table, loud, not like aggressively, but loud enough for kind of announce my presence. And then just say, this ale is leaving some want, and I noticed you have finer drink with you.
And then the man by the name of Harold, he kind of elbows a little bit, like nudges Arna as they're brought to your attention, and they say, I see. We have perhaps a buyer? Try this. And Arna, she leans down and she takes like a small cup and she fills up a little bit of Dorwinian wine and passes it to you. We plan to sell this in the marketplace. This is wine from Dorwinian. And, well, let's just say your life will be changed. They literally say the exact same thing to you as they said to the Breelanders. I'm going to have you make an insight check for me.
Right, I'm going to do that on the app and see if it does it a little quicker. Hold on.
I know this is something that everybody's been dealing with, is slow dice rolls from D&D Beyond.
Okay. Let's see. Oof. 10.
10. This is just same old, typical stuff that you've seen from travelers, particularly travelers from the east. They're not very inconspicuous when it comes to their business dealings. However, as you sat down, you look to your left, and the Breelanders have gone all quiet as they just like look at you. They don't look suspicious per se, but like as if like they're afraid to say anything and they're startled by your presence.
Okay. I'll wink at them.
Okay.
Slyly.
Okay.
Just to kind of, a reassuring wink.
Okay.
To settle them a little bit. Like, just, I'm not here to cause trouble, don't worry.
Make a charisma check for me.
Oh, I'm so bad at those. Just straight charisma?
Just straight charisma.
Okay. Oh. You know?
What was that?
Okay. It's like weirdly, when I roll, it's weirdly like silencing me. It was a 19.
19. Holy smokes. You wink to them, and the hobbit, one of the hobbits looks to you and is like, "Oh, I didn't know one of you big folk came for a drink with us. Well, cheers to that." And he takes up his little shot glass as he basically welcomes you into the fold, and everybody else is like, oh, they're like, kind of like doing the same. Cheers to life, as they go ahead and attempt to. By the way, do you take the shot glass of wine?
I do, but I kind of sniff it, try to assess if there's something nefarious here. Like, I'm not necessarily here for the taste of the wine, more like, have they added anything to it? Is it poison? Is it whatever?
Yeah.
You know?
I can have you make either a shadow lore check or a survival check.
Let's do survival. And hopefully this time I don't get muted. I changed my dice, so it's not the flame dice.
Oh, yeah. The really cool
'Cause it's
dice.
Yeah. It's just, I think, like, the flame sound effect is, like, weirdly muting me.
Mhm.
So, alright. 11.
11. As you kind of like, you bring it up to your lips and you sniff it, you have actually been pretty trained at figuring out, like, common poisons by just, like, the odor of it. There are definitely some poisons that are odorless, but they're very few and far between. You bring it up to your lips as you begin to sip it a little bit. You keep it in your mouth. You don't swallow it quite yet as you begin to mull over the flavors. This is delicious, by the way. They are absolutely right. This is like some of like the best wine spirits that you have ever had. There's something about kind of like it's like full body flavored. It's robust, but it's not too bitter is the way, like alcohol-y.
Yeah.
It tastes like really like smooth as you mull it over. You think for a couple of moments and you don't detect anything nefarious inside. You feel confident to swallow.
Wow. Your tale rings true, friends. But
We sell them by the bottleful, and we also sell them by the keg. If you want one for the keg, it would be 10 silver pieces. If you want a bottle, it'll be 2 silver pieces. But, business not here. We of course respect this establishment and their rules, clearly. So, if you want to find us in the market tomorrow, we can sell quite a bit of this to you. We brought lots with us on our caravan over here.
wonderful. So this is just the advertisement.
Indeed. How do you think we're going to those folk that grow grapes from the Shire? They produce a great yield, and they say cheers to the hobbits. But us in Dorwinian, we're quite proud of the things that we buy and sell, and we love to introduce it to new folks. Of course, not many here in Eriador have experienced the finer things from the east.
Quite. Well, if I come across anyone who is interested in purchasing more, I'll send them your way.
Arna says, "Aye, I'll hold you to that." And she, one more cheers, and they let out a call. And they said, "By the way, how tall are you?"
Tall enough.
"You remind me of our Lord King Bard. He's a very strong, strapping chap. You hear he slayed a dragon." And one of the Breelanders, a kind of like an older man, he goes, "Oi, have you slain a dragon, Ranger?"
There's not too many of those kind in these parts. That is impressive. How did he take down the beast? I'm curious.
Well, there was let's just say, a black arrow. They say the dragon Smog, he had a missing patch, a fleshy bit underneath his chest. And King Bard is a very skilled bowman, you see. He is a marksman that all of us, even at the guild back in Esgaroth, are, we're training to become, hopefully one day. And he, with the last black arrow of his kin, was able to land a true strike. And with that came the fall of the dragon Smaug. Some great terror that we thought we would be under the shadow of for the rest of our remaining days.
Quite the tale. I'm glad Smaug is no longer a threat to your people.
And not only is he no longer a threat, but we now have a king in Dale, and of course we have the dwarves of the Lonely Mountain. Have you heard of them?
I have.
Yes. Unfortunately, Thorin Oakenshield, which I'm gonna have you make a traditions check for me.
Okay. 17.
You're familiar. Probably on the occasion you might have seen him in your earlier years come through Bree.
Yeah, because, I mean, they came through here on that journey, right?
They did. And actually, originally, Gandalf found him at the Prancing Pony. And so, like, he's been in this region. He was part of the Blue Mountains. And so, which is, like, the dwarven community in the west, essentially. So, they're relatively familiar. But, yeah, you know of Thorin. And she continues, yeah, he was king under the mountain. And, well, unfortunately, there was a great battle after the fall of the dragon, the Battle of the Five Armies, and he was slain during that battle. But, King Dain from the Iron Hills, he has now become king under the mountain, and there are a wealth of treasures, gold, jewels, metals, mithril, that has begun to pour out of the mountain into Lake Town and abroad, and we are here to be able to share it. If you are interested in any of our other trinkets that we have, find us in the morning.
Wonderful. Sorry to hear of the demise of Thorin. He seemed like a respectable enough chap.
Respectable enough. We didn't come to know him too well, but it is because of him and his company that we are free of tyranny. So of course we respect him. And they raise a glass, and actually the Leaf, he stands up to the entire crowd, and he shouts with his glass of ale, not wine, with his tankard of ale. He says to everybody, "Long live King Dain, king under the mountain, and God rest the soul of Thorin Oakenshield." And then everybody, especially the dwarves, they go, "Hear, hear," as then everybody, like, drinks all together. Again, they're not being inconspicuous at all.
Okay. Wonderful. Is there... I feel like I've kind of gotten most of the information from them at this point.
They seem pretty open books. I'm gonna actually have you make one last insight check for me.
Okay. 17. Yeah,
they seem to be talking about a number of things. There is one last thing that you hear them talk about, not necessarily just Esgaroth and Dale and the Lonely Mountain, but they actually begin to talk about a establishment that they went to while they were traveling through basically Mirkwood, through Wilderland, across the High Pass. Apparently they had stopped over at a small inn, a new inn, that had popped up in Wilderland. This place is called the Easterly Inn, and it is run by hobbits, and they are talking to the hobbits specifically. It's like, "Do you know a hobbit family called the Brandybucks? What is it? Dodie. He's talking about Bilbo Baggins all the time, here and there. Of course, we know the story of Bilbo, but he also had a family, a wife. His wife, what's her name?" And Arda, she says, "Agatha, of course." And he goes, "Agatha, she makes the best bacon, basically this side, east of the Misty Mountains. Of course, I've had some of your hobbit cooking. Oh, you know how to eat." And basically, they just talk about their experience at this inn called the Easterly Inn, out west. Right, out east.
Out east. It's a bit strange for hobbits to be that far east, is it not?
Well, ever since Bilbo and the Thorin and his company made their way west and things had become safe, Bilbo returned back home to his quiet life in the Shire. But and one of the hobbits, he chimes in. "Yes, he's a strange fellow, but he has kind of inspired, especially amongst the young, a bit of a wanderlust about the about the areas east of the Misty Mountains. Of course, my family, we're the Boffins. But by the way, we're of the Boffin family. Nice to make your acquaintance. My name is Blake, and this is Gregory. And they kind of like nod. Yes, well, we're pretty close with the Bagginses, and it actually wasn't too long ago when one of his nieces ended up going out east. What was her name? The wee lass. Was it by the name of Jess? That's right. Did you run into Jess, a young hobbit named Jess? And they turn to each other and they're like talking. They're like, no, we did not encounter anyone named Jess while we were out there, but the family itself was good. They owned a couple of dogs. Good people, good folk. Yeah, that's about the information that they can give you about it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your trouble. You mentioned training with the bow. Have there been any reason to need to have more protection since the fall of the dragon? Any enemies or anyone trying to replace that power vacuum?
Leaf chimes in. Oi, no, not particularly in Esgaroth per se. There are rumors that, after the Battle of the Five Armies, the goblin population was reduced by half in all of Wilderland and Misty Mountains and the entire area. Many a goblin died, many an orc died. And I think that's partially been why there's been so much peace. But perhaps maybe orcs haven't taken back up arms, but there are definitely some trouble within Wilderland and abroad. King Bard, he does his job to be able to at least rid the Daelins of all of the, at least anyone seeking to rule in tyranny. But there are rumors about there is a small kingdom of men in the north, close to the Vales of Gundabad, but in northern Mirkwood, and he's begun to gain some followers. They say he's a strong man. What was his name again? Yes, Voltaire. No, not Voltaire. That's not Voltaire. Vigland. Yes, Vigland. That's right. And, he is, he's a descendant of one of the northern folk. I'm not familiar with the men of Rohan.
I've heard of them.
Well, they are came from the north. They came from Gundabad area, and apparently he's descendant of one of them, and he is I guess he's strong, and he grows in number little by little. There are also the woodmen. They've begun to grow a bit as well. Saywin. Young Saywin. He used to be. We used to see him come to and fro. He's made a name for himself in the East Bite. I'm gonna have him make a traditions check for me.
Cool. 22.
You're familiar. So you haven't particularly explored Mirkwood, but you know the general layout of it. And
okay.
You've gained plenty of news from people coming to and from about Mirkwood and the dangers of it. But closer to southern Mirkwood, there's a small kind of like cutout, circular kind of cutout called the East Bite. Actually, I have a map here called the East Bite. And this area right here is now ruled by a man called Saywin. And they continue, he's quite generous. He's grown his community from the folk of Esgaroth, Dale, even the woodmen, and he's been accepted as part of the Woodman Council. And Arna, she joins in. Yes. And, of course, there's also, the Black Tarn. They've been able to grow, and also a new lord from a place called Tyrant's Hill. Sounds terrible, but he is a lord. What do they call him? Something weird, something dreading.
Hogdred, I think. Hogdred? No, it can't be Mogdred. Yes, the Mogdred. We don't know much about him, but apparently he's strong and he owns quite a force down there. Much has changed in Wilderland these past 7 years. And we're finally getting to a point where I think there are definitely some strong powers growing within Wilderland that will at least keep at least Isgaroth safe for a time.
Well, I'm glad your peace and safety has led to this prosperous yield of wine.
Cheers to that.
And then I will start eavesdropping on the dwarves if I can.
Okay. Yeah, you find your way back to your seat. I'm going to have you make a stealth check for me.
Okay. 16.
You very sneakily, you rotate your way around this round table to where your back is kind of close to the fireplace. And just within earshot, at least quiet whispering earshot, you begin to hear them and they don't seem to have noticed you. And have you make a perception check for me.
14.
14. You hear them speaking in hushed voices. One of they're two dwarves specifically, and from the look of them, they look to be dwarves of the Blue Mountains. So those of western Eriador, and they have begun to talk. And a couple of them, well, one of them says it's just like,
The Lonely Mountain.
what a sight to behold, wasn't it? And the other one chimes in, and he says,
Indeed. The dwarven trinkets that King Dane and his dwarves have made have, I think, will be able to be proven quite valuable to the folk here in Bree.
Based off of your general understanding, they seem to be traders. But from what you can glean from them as well, they're actually journeying back from the Lonely Mountain. They had made some kind of venture out there to the Blue Mountains. They continue.
When do you think you want to join our kin when do you think you want to join our kin in the Lonely Mountain?
And the other one, the second one, the one is definitely older than the other. The second one is a pretty young dwarf by dwarf standards, and he says,
Remind me where the Blue Mountains are?
yeah, so Blue Mountains are right here.
Okay.
So currently where you are in Bree is right here. Blue
Okay.
Mountains are basically this mountain range.
Got it. Great.
So they're about as far west as you can possibly be. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, they continue to travel, and they said,
Well, I don't know if I'll be going out there anytime soon. I've made quite a name for myself here. I'm I work in stonecraft, and one of the reasons I went out to the Lonely Mountain was to be able to see, pay homage to Thorin and his fallen brethren. What a shame. He was a good lad, wasn't he?
and they continue to nod and they continue to chat. Yeah, that's what you're
Okay.
able to glean from their conversation.
Do I get the feeling that if I approach, I probably won't get more info?
Make an insight check
Than that.
for me.
Nine.
Who's to say? Dwarves, you've had a different number of experiences with them. Some of them have been pretty open. Even the quiet ones have seemed pretty open to conversation. But from what they're talking about, and you can overhear, they don't seem to be holding any like secretive information per se. So perhaps they would be less resistant to you if that's the case. But it's up to you if you want to do it. It's like kind of like a 50-50 shot.
Sure. I will. How much is like a tankard of ale?
A tankard of ale, your 1 silver piece could probably buy about 3 tankards.
Okay. And how many dwarves are there, roughly?
2 of them.
Okay. Cool. Then I will approach and just say, my condolences to your kin at the Lonely Mountain. I didn't know him well, but Thorn seemed a good lad. Around on the house, and I gestured to
Barnabas.
what's his bucket? Yeah, Barnabas. To basically my other 2 drinks that I had with my silver piece to like give to them.
They are startled at first when you approach them, and they seem closed off at first. But as Barnabas comes with the 2 drinks and sets them down on the table, and he says, "A couple of ales for our dwarven masters. Enjoy." The dwarves they look at the tankards, they look at you, and they're like, "Oi, pull up a seat, friend." And they kind of open up a little bit to you. They introduce themselves. The first one introduces himself is, "My name is Hornbody. I am, well, son or a cousin of Body. Not sure if you're familiar, but he was one of Thorin's company that went to travel west." And the other one introduces himself. "And my name's Floki. I'm not particularly related to any of them, but I did know Thorin well. He was a very good dwarf. Thank you for your condolences. It means a lot coming from not a lot of people respect our dwarven culture. Do you know a little bit about Thorin? Anything?" And you know quite a bit about Thorin, probably, and like his journeys. So chances are, yeah.
Yeah. I know he was a man of great misfortune who pursued something better for himself and ultimately was successful. But with much great change comes great sacrifice, and a dwarf willing to give that. So I have a lot of respect for the dwarf.
Floki, he continues. Floki's the younger one. He says, "Aye, it was good of my people to be able to welcome Thorin and his kin," and he gestures over to Hornbori, which Hornbori is included in that. And, well, let's just say, we didn't believe that he could do it, but by goodness, he do it. And we felt that it was only, as cousins of the Blue Mountains, it was only our prerogative to make our way out and pay our respects to him. And let me just say, traveling the wide world, after spending so much time underground, we have grown a great respect for their journey and their adventures. And they look to you and they said, "What are you, some kind of ranger?"
Yes, something like that.
"So you know the ways of the wild, you know the treacherous landscapes, and sure, we kept to the greenway, we kept all the way to the roads, but we ran into our fair share of bandits, goblins. Fortunately, no orcs or wargs on the ventures, but it is quite dangerous. And as we came came up the greenway, let me just tell you, the sight of Bree, this beautiful, beautiful town, and its firelight in the distance, well, it made us really, really miss home. And so we are stopping here for tonight before making our way back to the Blue Mountains. It is good of you to be able to, it's good of you to be able to join us. Good company is difficult to come by these days."
Hear, hear.
Here, here.
And I raise my tankard, take a swig, and would there be any other topics I would, as Cirion, want to like try to divulge, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you have anything specifically about maybe some of the things that they had on the road, your particular interests would probably be more like what dangers did you run into on the Greenway. But
Yeah.
you could also be curious about like some of the things that they found out west, essentially, or out east, essentially, during their journeys.
Okay. Oh yes, tell me more about your travels, friends. I do enjoy hearing of the many adventures. I don't often, though I'm well traveled, I typically stay west of the Misty Mountains. So,
Hornbori, he jumps in and he says,
Oi, oi. Well, let's just say, this is a wild place. So used to our glittering halls underneath the mountain, and we found our fair share of strange occurrences while we were on the road, especially as we made our way through the troll shaws and the weathered hills.
do tell.
Particularly at night. And Floki, he says, I can't quite put my finger on it, but while we didn't encounter anything, especially as the sun set, we always felt that eyes were watching us. Something out on the horizon. It was quite unnerving, to say the least.
and then Hornbori, he says,
I think the word that you're looking for is eerie. There's an eeriness about the Bree lands that I don't remember of the days of old.
and Floki, he says,
Aye, eerie. Eerie indeed. And you say you travel. Have you noticed anything eerie of late?
Have I?
I'm gonna have you make a Shadow Lore check for me.
Okay. 23.
It's so funny compared to the other campaign because like the stuff that you have like really good stats in, like everybody else in the other campaign doesn't, and so they're always getting like 6s to 10s in like the like lore traditions, shadow checks,
Sweet.
things like that. And so
Perks
No,
of being a Dunedain, you know?
Curse of being a Dunedain. Yeah. So some of the things that you have noticed in recent years is the amount of grave robberies, specifically in the Brelands. So the Brelands are surrounded by an area called the North Downs, the Barrow Downs, and they are situated basically all around. And these are the graves of the fallen, basically men of Arnor, and all of that. And so it's been a hot second since anyone has dared to come in and even attempt to grave rob. But one of the things that like you and particularly Halbarad has been charged with, the task of, is making sure that grave robbers are either scared away or brought to justice. And so you've had your fair share of that. You haven't experienced anything such as it, but there are many of those grave robbers that you have caught in the past that talk about whispers on the wind, particularly when they do their job at night, almost as if there are ghosts about. To you, it's merely just you've never heard of a ghost per se. The biggest threats that you have found in the wild have been like corporal ones, whether it's orcs, goblins, whatever the case, bandits,
Bears.
the bears. There you go, wildlife, thieves, things like that. And so you most likely feel like spirits and ghosts and stuff probably it's just within their minds. As you do know that the Downs, it is a place of solemn kind of thought, but also a place of deep sadness, and that has a way to be able to seep into you. And so you understand that, and that would be something that potentially, especially at night in the misty hills, that could mess with you. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. To answer their question. Besides, seems an increase in grave robbers. Nothing too out of the ordinary. At least nothing supernatural. Everything corporeal. Although, this time of year, the wind blowing through the valleys and the hills does have quite the bone-chilling effect. So I can see that. However, do be careful. Thieves typically lurk at night, especially if it's just the two of you. I'm sure you are well equipped, but be wary.
Hornbori, he says, I see, Floki. Nothing to worry about. Just the wind in the hills. And Floki, I'm going to have you make an insight check on him for me.
Insight. 10.
He doesn't seem too convinced, but he agrees with you, and you've calmed him, I think, probably to a little bit of a degree. But definitely at this point, Hornbori has completely brushed off the topic, and he says, well then, if it's very good that we're not out on the roads then. If there are bandits and, grave robbers about. Yes, we can hold our own in a fight, and he taps the sword at his side. Yes, we can hold our own in a fight, but being surprised on the road alone at night in the dark, shudder to think about it. Fortunately for Bree, it's quite safe. It locks up at night, you see.
Yes, which is good for those who are inside, not so much for those outside.
Immediately, the door to the prancing pony slams open. Boom! And you hear it crash against the wall, and you hear the sound of heavy boot falls as a individual walks in. It is also a dwarf, and he comes and he has basically his thumbs in his belt, and he comes in and he announces to the crowd, any brave souls in the inn who'd like to earn their fair share in a great treasure. And then he walks over to the Barnabas, and he says, give me 3 ales. And he slaps down a silver piece, and he says, today's a day for drinking. And he sits down at the bar, and he just, in one gulp, 1 tankard of ale, slams it on the counter, takes a second one, second tankard of ale, slaps it. He lets out a giant belch, and he begins tapping his beard, and he immediately starts engaging in conversation with the people to his right. And he's like, what about you? And he kind of examines them up and down. Are you a fighter? I see that you've got a dagger on your side. Are you good with it? You see, I'm looking for some help with finding some treasure. And the person's just kind of very much askance, I don't want anything to do with you. And he's like, hey, are you sure? A part of the treasure could be yours if you help me. Never mind. And he gets up with his last tankard of ale, and he begins walking around from table to table and talking. And you can tell the vast majority, especially the locals, are just kind of please don't come to my table. Please don't come to my table. But he sits down, and eventually he finds a table, a group of individuals who actually welcome him. And they're just and you can hear. I'm going to have you make a perception check for me.
Okay. Also, I mentioned to the 2 dwarves that I'm with, acquaintance of yours. Questioningly. Acquaintance of yours.
Floki, he grumbles. You could say that.
Great. Perception, you said?
Yeah, perception.
sevens. 14.
14. He, you see him talking to the people, and they all greet this dwarf, and they say, "Ah, Yari, welcome back. It's good to see you, my friend." And Yari, he's just like, "Aye, fortunes have turned in my favor." And then one of them's like, "It's been a while. Where have you been?" "Out on the road. I know you wander to and from here and there." And he says, "Aye, you know me. Nowhere can keep me tied down for too long. But look at this." And he pulls out like a parchment and he slaps it down on the table. "Look at this. I found treasure. I dug this out of my old belongings last time I visited the Blue Mountains, and well, let's just say it belonged to my uncle. He has perished, and it rightfully belongs to me, don't you think?" And they're just like, "Oi, what luck has turned for you? Quite jealous indeed. Wish I had treasure to be able to go off to. It's all I can do to be able to just afford a beer here every night." "Aye, well, if I find treasure, beer's on me, at least for the next few months." And you can just hear this very, very jovial dwarf just chatting away.
All right, I say to my dwarf friends, "It's been a pleasure. Good luck and safe travels." And I make my way over to Yari and kind of like lean against the wall, all cool, like hood up, you know, somewhat of a mysterious figure. And I just mentioned to him, "Where does your hunt take you, friend?"
Are you doing this in a way that's like intended to intimidate him?
Yeah,
Just-
I would
yep.
say so. Not necessarily to like scare him, but just to like be like, "Wow, that's a guy that's like knows his
Serious
stuff."
about this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and make an intimidation check for me.
Okay. 8.
He looks to you and he sees like your sheer height. He gets up to his feet and he stands at the top of his head, probably is like right below your belly button. How short this dwarf is, and he is not as round and rotund as you would expect a dwarf to be. This guy seems like not emaciated, but he seems like he definitely does his fair share of traveling and wandering for a dwarf. And he puts his hand again, his thumbs in his belt again, and he looks up to you and he says, "Oi, and who's asking?"
Someone who could maybe help.
I knew this was the place to be. Come, have a seat, have a seat.
And he actually takes you over to the original corner where you were sitting, kind of around the table. I'm going to have you make a perception check for me.
10.
The door opens again to the tavern, and you see a man he has kind of like this like bucket hat on, almost kind of looks like a farmer to a degree, but you don't recognize him. You know the farmers and you know what they look like here in Bree, and he looks around. He has like this long dark hair, and it looks matted and greasy, like he hasn't bathed in what looks to be weeks. He's wearing this kind of hodgepodge of like different types of clothes. He has like this like very dirty like kind of tunic on underneath, but he has this coat on top too that actually looks quite nice, some kind of wolf or warg leather. And he comes on in and he looks a little bit out of place per se. And what I mean by that is he looks around as if he's like looking specifically for someone, and he continues to just kind of like wander about. If you want, you can make an insight check on him.
Yeah. It's giving me sus vibes. 22.
He slouches as he walks, so like his shoulders are kind of like hunched in front, and he kind of keeps just outside of like people. He doesn't like address people, but you can tell like he's like leaning over to like look at faces. He doesn't seem to be like, he doesn't have any weapons on him. No sword, no dagger, even anything like that. But he seems to be how do you say? He seems to be foreign, like a fish out of water. You don't know if he has like any malintent or anything, but it's clear that he is looking for something.
Wonderful.
Anyways, back to Yari.
I will keep an eye on him in the back of my mind.
Definitely. Back to Yari. He says, "Aye, down to business." And he takes his tankard and he sips. One sip downs like a third of it, and he burps. And he looks at you and he says, "Clearly, you are a tall fella. But are you a fighter, Yari?" "Sorry, Yari, at your service. I'm a wanderer of the Blue Mountains, and let's just say I'm looking to find somebody to partake on an adventure with."
Where to? Thereabouts, no specifics.
"Well, my journey takes me to the Weather Hills. Long ago. Probably a good 20, 30 years ago. I had a uncle, you see, and he made his way out as a wanderer, as a traveler. And some might say that he was a bit of a treasure hunter. Of course, us the dwarves of the Blue Mountains, we do our fair share of mining and creating wealth for ourselves, but there are all kinds of things, from fallen lands, fallen kingdoms, stuff that has been taken by trolls, orcs, all kinds of things. And well, my uncle, being the dwarf that he was quite stealthy, and he had found his way into quite a fortune that he amassed for himself. Near the end of his life, he buried his treasure. He said somewhere in the Weather Hills, never told me where, and it wasn't until just 2 weeks ago that I ended up finding this map, and he pulls out, and it's just like this sloppily scrawled map of Eriador and like the general region of the Weather Hills, and there's kind of like this like inked out X on it. And this is where he buried his treasure, to keep it out of the hands of bandits. Quite hidden. Us dwarves are good at doing that. But you see, I'm not much of a fighter, and I'm looking for somebody to, well, at least keep eyes out for me while I'm digging. I'm more of a miner per se, and perhaps treasure hunting is in my blood, as it was in my uncle's. So this is where I'm going to make something of myself.
Well, I am quite capable with the blade, and I know the Weathered Hills fairly well. I think, hold on, is that one of my...
It is.
Okay. Yes. I know it pretty well. So, you would be hard-pressed to find a companion more suited in these parts than I. But I have little interest in treasure. What else could you offer me? Information, perhaps?
It depends. What information are you seeking, lad?
Well, you say you are a well-traveled man.
Indeed.
Just information on the goings-on of the regions, specifically having to do with any nefarious activity that might be good to bring to the attention of those who can do something about it.
You hear a snort coming from the table of the two dwarves before, as if like they're choked on something, and just kind of as they kind of like chuckle to themselves. And blah, blah, blah. They're just kind of like continuing to mumble. I'm gonna have you make a perception check for me.
Great. 24.
24. You've kept your eyes on this man the whole time, and he has started making his way. He said a couple of words to the wanderers from the east, but as he's continuing to look at the people at the tables, his eyes lock on yours, and he meets your gaze perfectly, and you can see that he is now walking directly over to you.
A friend of yours.
Right? He turns around and he looks at you like,
Ah, Diarmok! Welcome, welcome. Yes, I was just talking business with, what did you say your name was?
Kiri.
Ah, Giri. Diarmok, Yari, at your service. Anyways, we're talking about our grand quest to become rich. And Diarmok, well, he is, well, let's just say he, carries my cup for me. Speaking of which, where's the ale?
and Diarmok, he kind of like looks down at him, like standing at the head of the table. He looks down at him and he holds out his hand.
If you want something, cough up the coin. We'll get it for you.
And Yari, he kind of grins.
I already have a tab open. Tell Barnabas it's on Yari's tab. Aye. I'll be right back.
And he looks to you.
Cirion, if you want anything, it's on Yari after all.
I'm quite content at the moment.
Suit yourself.
And Yari hands over a silver piece. I'm gonna have you make a investigation check for me.
Great. 15.
15. He hands over the silver piece. It's quite dingy, but it's not typical to the silver pieces that are common within trade in Eriador. The one thing that you know about coins, you've seen your fair share of them. Each culture kind of has their own coin. The coins themselves are around the same shape, so they're worth about the same materials, but they all have different stamps depending on where they come from. This one, though, is one that you haven't seen for a long while. And on the, basically embossed on the front of it is a man. And I'm going to have you make a traditions check for me to figure out.
Traditions. Ooh, ready for this? 24, not 20.
Snap. There's no mistake. This is the new king of Rohan, King Thengel.
Ah.
So,
Man of Rohan. Very nice.
but
Is he still here?
Yari is giving this to Diarmok, and so like while this is happening, that's when you saw that. So he's still there. He's like still grabbing the coin.
I see. A man of Rohan, I see.
His eyes look to you, and like they kind of like one of his eyes like narrows a little bit, and he says,
Aye, you could say that.
How does Rohan fare these days?
Depends on whose side you're on.
Oh. And whose are you on? The king?
Sure.
and he takes the coin and he wanders over and orders from Barnabas. And Yari, as you watch him go away, Yari, he draws your attention again and says,
So, down to business. Let's just say, I was planning on splitting a fair share of the treasure with you, but if you're not interested in treasure, I can, of course, tell you all kinds of tales of Yari the Wanderer out on the roads.
Well, that would be quite nice. And depending on what's in this treasure hoard, if it's useful, maybe I'll take a cut. But coin doesn't hold much weight for me.
Ah, so you're a man of history, a man of relic, a man of let's just say the finer things. Is that correct?
You could say that, yes.
I'm primarily concerned with the silver, the gold, the copper that comes out of that. I am completely fine getting rid. If you see something, a nice cup, a nice dagger, ooh, that could go really nicely. And he looks at like your long sword that's like on your belt. Could go really nicely with that. Perhaps my uncle, he found, let's just say, a decent amount of weaponry, from what I know, that he brought back home to the Blue Mountains, and there might be something that catches your eye within the Horde, perhaps.
Wonderful. Well, perhaps we should go somewhere less conspicuous to talk more details. Talking openly about treasure attracts unwanted attention.
But here's the thing. I need all the help that I can get. And so, if you have any friends that would be willing to join in this endeavor, I don't see why I shouldn't open it up to more people. The more swords, the better. Of course, there's plenty of treasure to go around, don't you think?
Of course. But also, greedy folk.
Well, and he winks to you. Can I trust you? Is the question, Cirion. Will you watch my back?
Of course. You have my word.
And I will lead you to fame, fortune, and glory. That is my job. The job of, well, Yori.
Wonderful.
Hi.
I do have a companion that is going to meet me here soon. Perhaps he can join on our quest.
The more the merrier, that's what I think.
Wonderful. He would be a welcome addition to this expedition. And is training to be what I am, which often includes helping folk like yourself safe passage through these parts. So,
it looks like luck has turned in my favor. I came here looking for perhaps a simple mercenary to be able to hire to make my way through, but if I am getting a guide as well, all the power to me, right?
fortunate indeed.
Hi. And he,
Although your friend over there, I'm curious
what
how
about
you
him?
became
Diarmok,
acquainted.
yes.
How did you two become acquainted?
How did we indeed? Do you know of the city of Tharbad? It's like the big, basically the biggest city outside of Bree, in all of Eriador. I guess not in all of Eriador. The Elves of Linden and stuff are probably a little bit bigger, but there is basically a village right down here, a little bit to the south, called Tharbad. From your experience, it is a place of thieves, beggars, and unsavory folk. You've basically apprehended a fair few amount of people from there, but in recent years, basically the Thieves Guild that was running the city seems to have been under wraps to a degree. A new power has taken, and they're doing what they can to restructure the city in a way to where it's more lawful these days. But he says, "Hi, I was traveling down and met him in Tharbad. He said he was looking for an adventure, and I have plenty adventure to give. So ever since then, he's been my companion. We've known him for a few weeks, that's for sure, and I don't see why I wouldn't be able to trust him. But he's also not much of a fighter either."
Well, let's hope you have a good judge of character, friends.
I think I do. It's brought me to you, hasn't it?
I suppose you're right. Well, when shall we set out, friends? The morning?
The morn, absolutely. It's prepare yourself for about a probably 3 or 4 days journey. The Weather Hills are not too far from here, I'm sure, as you know. And prepare for some wet weather.
And he pulls out in his pocket, he takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he slaps 5 silver pennies. Let's consider this a down payment. Find anything that you need to be able to prepare yourself for the journey ahead. This is on me. This is part of your employment, let's just say.
I appreciate it. I will catch up with my companion, and I will meet you outside.
At the gate. Let's say 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Wonderful. Sunrise it is.
Sunrise it is. Ha ha!
And he goes around and he says, as I spill coffee all over the place, he goes around and he says,
Everybody! Tonight is a night that we party! And he goes around and he says, rounds on the house, everybody! Barnabas, put this on my tab!
And while this is happening, Diarmid, he comes and he sits down, and he says, "Aye, the party's just begun." And he takes a sip of one of the ales, and he slides 2 more over to Yari. And with that, is there anything that you want to do?
I will wish them good drinking, finish off my own ale, and I will meet Halberad out front. / I guess, if he comes in. Well,
As you wander out, I'm going to have to make an insight check.
great.
You stand up and you pass by the tables. There are tankards of ale flowing all throughout the entire bar as barmaids and the bar boys are going around and like giving everybody like their tankards. And there's quite hustle and bustle. What was your insight check?
4.
4.
It was bound to happen.
It was bound to happen. It's okay. You walk out in the chaos. You make your way out the front door, and you this cool air, not cold, but this cool air washes over you as you are greeted by, again, a relatively peaceful night. Off in the distance, you can see some storm clouds, and there's some kind of light with lightning, but you look out, and it's a decently peaceful night in Bree. It is definitely nightfall now, and you probably only need to wait just a few minutes, kind of right outside the Prancing Pony before Halberad makes his way up the path and addresses you. Ah, Cirion, good to see you. Did you find anything of interest in the Prancing Pony?
Well, there's some wine cellars. Apparently, the lake town has been fairly prosperous in recent years, which is good to hear. It's been quite a long time of living in the shadow of smog, so glad to hear that. Have some dwarf friends who have been traveling through town, and I've been hearing more whispers, as you are probably aware of just eerie feelings at night throughout the area, specifically in the Downs, which I understand that is an eerie place for those not used to it. And made some friends that we're going to help escort to the Weathered Hills for... It's an eccentric group, a dwarf by the name of Yari, who is a bit loud for my liking, but I think well intended.
So you've met Yari.
I had a feeling he didn't escape your eye.
Well, let's just say when I was down at the gate, right as the wardens were closing things up, Yari and another man, an individual, came through. Right as the gates were closing, they made it just in time. I figured Yari would make his way up. The man I'm unfamiliar with, but Yari has made quite a name for himself around the Breland, that's for sure.
Yes. The other, I believe, is by the name of... Was it Yarmak?
Diarmok.
Diarmok. Yes, the other goes by the name of Diarmok, and I'll tell you now, while we're on our adventure, keep a close eye on that one. He He's not from. What was the name of the town again? Where you found him. Tharbad. Picked him up in Tharbad, which you and I both know doesn't have a great start to his rapport. And, yes, he seems to be holding the truth close to his chest on his true intentions here, so.
I see. Well, I will say, if I can vouch for Yari in any way, the people of Bree love him. It's very rare that you come across a dwarf that is as welcoming and as joyous and jovial as him. Don't really know him all too well. Haven't really needed to keep too much of an eye on him, as he's always out in the limelight, or at least the people around him seem to like him. I have not heard a bad word about him, and so...
Yari, right? Not
Yari,
Diarmach.
yes. Diarmach,
Yes.
I'm just learning of this man now and this fellow, his name. So, I will absolutely...
No, Yari, I'm not as worried about.
Indeed.
It's the other one, so...
Well, if you watch my back, I'll watch yours, and we'll do what we can to be able to help them. What's the quest specifically? We're guiding?
Well, we're guiding them to the Weathered Hills. Yari, his uncle recently passed, and apparently was a traveler himself who amassed great treasures and fortunes, and he is a rough map, very rough, of the Weathered Hills, about where he may find his uncle's buried treasure. I, for one, usually prefer, what do they call it? Inheritance, as it were, but I don't know, maybe it's a family thing.
Well, when do we leave?
At sunrise.
Well, you get your fair share of rest. I'm gonna continue to make my rounds. I'll swap with you. Let's say come around 3 a.m. I'll make sure to switch sides with you. Make sure you rest up. Going to the Weathered Hills, it'll be a decently wet journey. So make sure you pack light, and
Sounds good.
I'll meet you at you said 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
7 a.m. And with
Usual
that,
morning lineup.
Indeed. And with that, the night comes to an end. You find a room in the Prancing Pony, one of the cheaper rooms. And this one's a ground level one. And tonight, more than ever, you can just hear you using one of the silver pennies that Yari gave you. You're able to basically buy a relatively secluded room, kind of off in a corner, but you can still hear the thumping of like tankards, glasses of ale. There's a party tonight, and it is very clearly run by Yari. Around probably 12 a.m. the noise begins to dampen enough to where you're able to get some sleep, and you do so. You wake up pretty early in the morning as you switch shifts with Halberad, and you wander around the Bree at night. One of the things that you have very much come to realize about this town of Bree is while there might be a number of interesting people that come in and out, this is very much the fruits of your efforts. Without you and your work as a ranger, like this place wouldn't be as peaceful as it currently is, and it just like makes you kind of like reaffirms your efforts and your work that you do. You listen to the night, and you're so used to kind of like the crackling flames, and you don't hear anything like orc calls, war calls, or anything. It's peaceful. And probably about 5 a.m. rolls around, and the rain finally starts to come. It is
light rain at first, and it gets a little bit heavier. You draw your hood over yourself, and the lightning and kind of like thunder begins to rumble a little bit, and you are meted around 7 by Halberad, who joins probably about 30 minutes before 7, and then a couple of ponies along with Yari and Diarmok. And they come to you and they say, and Yari's like, hopefully this weather doesn't give us too much of a gloomy road ahead. But shall we be off? Off to go find my uncle's treasure.
Let's.
And he says, lead the way, and he hands over the map to you. I'm going to have you make you can either make an intelligence check or you can make a survival check.
Cool. Do survival. And we're not in one of my favorite territories yet, right? We're still in Bree.
Yeah, you're still in Bree. So you're not quite in the Weather Hills yet.
24.
24. You know the way like the back of your hand. I mean, coming to and from Bree, you decide that probably the safest route to go is starting up the Greenway. So you leave Bree and continue up the Greenway until you reach Almondsur or Weathertop. It takes you about a day and a half to get to Weathertop, and the nights that you spend, it's constantly raining. But as you and Halberad take turns keeping watch, one thing that you notice is Yari is quite pompous, but you've begun to hear him kind of talk a little bit more about kind of some negative thoughts on the dwarves of the Blue Mountains.
Okay. Fascinating. What? Like what?
Well, he says, essentially, Yari claims that his family has always been unjustly treated by the dwarves of the Blue Mountains, which is part of the reason why he has taken to the road. He thinks, in part, it's based off of jealousy of his uncle specifically, and just the fact that like he was free of anything and he was able to go and accumulate and amass wealth, and you can tell that this is what's motivating Yari. I'm gonna have you make an insight check for me.
All right. Insight. 11.
One of the things about Yari is you can tell something that is there's something different that's also motivating him. The closer that you get to this location that's marked out on this map, the less joyous he becomes. You're unsure about whether if it's just the weather, the nonstop rain on this journey, or if it's per se I can't quite put your finger on it. He seems motivated still, but he continues on, and he's very early to fall asleep, especially on the first night. And as you stay watch, you see that Diarmok, he's sitting by the fire, looking at the fire, and he keeps like glancing at you, and his eyes like cast downward, glancing at you, his eyes cast downward. But he's just sitting at the fire with a stick, kind of like poking it. You have like a little bit of a structure that you have built for yourselves, so everybody's pretty tightly packed together.
What's your story, friend?
What is to say about a man who has lost everything? Tell me, what are your skills? What's your skill set?
Oh, like I said, I help guide people through these lands, keep them safe.
What do you know about the dangers and the threats that lurk beyond?
Beyond where?
Beyond the road.
Quite familiar. yourself?
I know that this place is full of orcs, dwarves, the occasional troll here and there. But it's not the creatures of the world that I'm so concerned with, but rather the people.
Aren't you one of them?
I'm a stranger in these lands. People look at me with intrigue, disdain. No matter where I go, I always draw attention to myself, even when I don't plan on it. In Tharbad, I was beset upon by some of the thieves that were there. Everything was taken from me. When I met Yari, he promised wealth. He promised coin. And I don't know. Perhaps I just sought some semblance of my former life. In his words, he has a way about him, don't you think?
Indeed. Indeed. Why leave home? Adventure, wanderlust, riches.
What do you know of the conflict in Rohan?
Not as much as I would like. My purview is more Eriador. Though I hear whispers.
What are your thoughts about the men of the south, then? Dunland, Tharbad?
I think they... I have a low opinion of them, overall. Though, just because many are nefarious doesn't mean all are.
I'm gonna have to make an insight check. As soon as you say that, his heart immediately begins to like drop out. Like you can like see like his like he just like stares at the fire and he says, "Thought as much." I came this way to make a name for myself. And he looks up and kind of like briefly catches your eye. I am a trader by trade. I just can't find a place that I can truly call my home.
What about Bree?
You can probably deduce from like the way that he looks and the way that he is dressed that he's probably a man that comes from some money. But again, it looks like he hasn't bathed in a long time, as almost like he's been traveling through like a rain and has just let it dry on him. His hair's stringy, it's dirty, his face is dirty, his tunic is like basically all sweat stained and yellow and kind of crusty. The only thing that looks like is the coat that he has on.
I see. Looks like you are not one of them. Don't seem the nefarious type. Yet to form an opinion about you. It looks like you ran away from some comfier lifestyle. Why?
For a place to call home, I've seen the way that you treat Halbrad. I see the way that you work together as a team. I can tell that you are well, I think you're stronger than what Yari pegs you as.
Fair enough.
He kind of stands up and scooches over closer, and he sits on the log that's up beside you. And he says, there are very few individuals that I have met that I have been able to deem as strong per se. Nothing that you have said has led me to believe that you are seeking ill will on this venture. But, and he looks to you very seriously. He says, I can't tell you my reasons. At least not yet. But what do you say about... He kind of glances over to Yari. Sticking him and running off with the treasure.
I am a man of my word, and I promise safe passage to the whole company.
Listen. Forget I said anything. Here. Crazy things happen. Go through my mind. Perhaps in time.
What do you have against Yari? Seems to have treated you well enough.
Nothing in particular. As you had mentioned, he's I think he's simple. I think there's not a lot to him. But that's what I fear.
Simplicity.
He's promised me treasures. For weeks I've come not one step closer. I just keep wandering from place to place. He says that we need people who can fight. He says that there's dangers. And I agree. There are dangers that are out on the road and we need to protect ourselves. People who, and he looks to you, want to take everything.
You think I care for what you have?
No. I can tell. And he looks to you. You're very martial. And so, like, it's not like you, like, travel luxuriously, like, with a lot of wealth and whatnot. I don't think that treasure rules your hearts. But I also know that there are rumors about the Rangers. They say you're formidable. They say that you slay anybody that you come across that you deem as unworthy. Unworthy of being kept alive.
Who do you serve?
I serve whoever's going to pay for my next meal. In this case,
So your stomach?
have you ever been so hungry that you feel that you will do anything to just quench that desire? You dream of mountains of bread and filling your stomach until you can no longer eat anymore. There was a time There was a time where I came to that point in my life. I couldn't think about anything other than survival. I cared for nothing other than survival. I guess one thing of traveling with Yari is, I can recall what it means to fight for something other than food.
You would ditch that. For what? A house? A name? What do you think this treasure will give you that you don't already have?
Freedom. Not just from Yari, it's well enough, I guess. But it'll give me the ability to rebuild myself, make a name for myself, have family. I have
Noble desires.
I have lived too long here in Middle-earth, and I've seen too much death, destruction, the evil spirit of the man, and the corrupted hearts of those who seek to prey on others, and I can't find it ironic that I am currently in this position as well, piggybacking off of a dwarf who claims to have a map to some treasure. I'm gonna have you make an insight check for me.
Cool. 7.
I think you look at him, and definitely there are elements to this that seem absolutely true. You can tell that like he's relatively emaciated. You can see that he isn't necessarily obedient to Yari, but definitely clings to him as if he is very much reliant to a degree. But he kind of seems broken. You can definitely tell that there's parts that he has not revealed, that he has kept hidden, but for the most part, as much as a broken person would, he seems relatively open.
Well, I commend your willingness to talk to strangers such as myself.
You're one of the few that have not given me a reason to not at least ingratiate you with my history to a degree. And understanding that, well, if we did encounter something, I would not die. Hopefully.
Well, I can assure you of my best protection for you as well as Yari. And I hope you find what you're looking for. Saying that we have, I suppose it comes from ancient knowledge greater than my own, but something we say is not all who wander are lost. I have the feeling that that's something you need to mull over. Something you don't quite understand.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Oof. Let's see. Oh, okay. Could have been worse. 12.
12.
He looks to you and he nods.
I hold out hope. And with the two of you, he gestures to you and Halbrad's sleeping. And with the two of you, I do find a fair bit in comfort, or at least are my immediate future.
Well, I hope, friend, that you find something to live for, not just survive. They're very different things.
he smiles, and he goes back over to his original seat, and he continues to poke at the fire. Shall I wake the young one, or do you want to?
I'll do it.
I'm gonna head off to the... And he goes and he kind of finds like a little secluded corner in the area where you guys have set up camp, and he closes his eyes and he falls to sleep after some time. The morning comes, and it is still wet and rainy and dreary. The lands in the weathered hills, as you begin to enter them, have become quite muddy, and you have to keep to the valleys for the most part, because the hills themselves and the grass and the dirt that's on them, any sort of weight will just give way as you go sliding down the sides of the hills. And so you weave your way in and out of this vast maze of hills. Very much a particular name for it. And I'm gonna have you make our survival check.
Okay. We're now in one of my known lands, right?
Yes, you are.
Cool. Sorry, you have advantage on making wisdom saving throws. Do I have advantage on this or no?
I'll say you do, probably.
Journey passes through lands you know as a guide. Okay. What did you say? Nature or survival?
Survival.
Well, which was it? Survival. Yeah. I don't think I do. I think it's just the check is lowered. Like the normal thing I'd have to pass is lowered by 2.
DC is lowered? Okay. By 2?
Yeah. 19.
You know these lands like the back of your hand. In fact, your time spent at Almansul and Weathertop, you're actually beginning to reflect on previous hunts that are here and previous kind of like camp nights. You remember times here that you had spent with your wife. And maybe not necessarily in such regular conditions, but you remember the good old days in the sun where you would travel and to be able to like lay out on the hills and stare at the sky. Not a care in the world of everything that goes by, and your feet seem to just kind of move in the general direction as you kind of escape from yourself for just a bit. And without
I finger like the pommel of my dagger.
This whole time, it's relatively quiet in Halbarad. Basically, he takes up the rear as he looks from side to side. You can tell that this boy is quite watchful. If you learn anything about him, it's the fact that he is very duty-driven, but also really wants to prove himself, too. You know he's pretty good with a blade, and he is pretty good at detecting danger, and he hasn't seemed to pick up on anything at this point. It's been a wet and tiring travel, but it hasn't been particularly treacherous or dangerous. But you continue on for about another day. You look at the map, and you're getting to a point where you feel like you're pretty close. In this specific area of the Weathered Hills, so you're probably up in kind of like this area at this point.
Okay.
There is a kind of like a small little gully, not quite valley, but like a small little gully where there's a decent amount of like rocks and like hill structure where very much it seems like that this axe seems to be pointing to it. You stare down into it, and Yari, he looks to you and he's like, "Aye, this looks like as good a place as any. What do you say do we start digging?"
Sounds good. I'll keep watch.
So you do. Question. So the way that this is set up is it's lightly wooded. There's some basically like rocks and caves and like that kind of stuff. Not really caves, like just kind of like some like rock formations, and There's one cave in particular where you can tell that Yari is moving towards, almost as if like this is like he was buried inside like the hill of this place.
Okay.
And Diarmok, you have to make an insight check.
All the insight.
All the insight.
14.
He hesitates. He lets Yari move off a bit and disappear into the cave before he even starts to move. And he looks to you, and you sense a bit of sadness in his eyes as he begins to follow Yari.
I tell Halberad to keep an eye out, and I follow them.
Okay. Do you want to do this stealthily, or are you just going with them just as part of the group?
I'll do it stealthily.
Make a stealth check for me. It's gonna be a disadvantage because of the like very muddy, rain-filled terrain as you kind of make your way down this hill.
10.
You do so successfully. Fortunately, a lot of kind of like the slosh and sucking of the mud tends to mute your sounds as you make your way. You let Diarmok walk probably about 30, 40 feet in front of you. You see him also disappear into the cave where you arrive to the cave's entrance. Immediately, you can hear voices, specifically that of Yari, as he seems to be talking quietly.
I try to hear what he's saying.
Make a perception check for me.
12.
You hear not a lot, but you hear the word unsuspected and did good. That's it.
Do I have eyesight on him?
You want to peer into the cave?
Yeah.
You peer in, and you can see for about 30 feet inside. And you can see that Diarmok is just continuing to slowly move his way forward, but you can see that he is actively trembling as he walks forward. And as you peer in, you're immediately overcome with the smell of just rot and decay. As if like something had very recently just died in here. And it hits you like full blast in the face, and it's disgusting. And you hear immediately a deep husky voice come from within.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Now, time to do my work.
And you hear as coming into view, you see a giant hill troll as it lumbers out of the way towards you. It completely ignores, almost pushing over Diarmok, who's trembling. He falls over to the side as he this troll walks out inside. I'm gonna begins to walk towards you. I'm gonna really quickly have you make a nature check or shadow word check.
Okay. Shadow lore it is. 11. Also, I'm going to signal Halberad with like a bird call or like a distress call of some sort that is disguised.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys would definitely have like a system of something that you would easily be able to identify, like a pump.
Can't do it with my ring on. Something like that, you know?
Nature check though.
Yeah, 11.
11. this is clearly a troll, but from what you can just basically tell, this is actually a lady troll. She comes out and she has this kind of flesh-made apron on, and she says, you can hear her grumbling to herself.
Tasty bones is, I cannot wait. Scrumptious crackling in my teeth.
And she wanders out as she kind of looks from side to side. Make a stealth check for me.
Oh boy. 12. All my good rolls are at the beginning. These are fine, but not great.
Fine's okay. She does not notice you. She walks out and she looks around, and again, it's pretty rainy, so it's kind of difficult to see too far off in the distance. And the time of day, it's probably sitting around 3 or 4 p.m. Right now.
Is she inside or outside the cave?
She's outside the cave now, and she's so essentially she's walked past you, and you're kind of at the cave entrance, looking, and so you're looking at her back as she looks around, and she says,
Where is it? The crunchy. Scrumptious.
and you can see in her left hand she has what's a giant curved scimitar, which looks like a knife in her hands as she looks from side to side.
Are both of my companions alive?
Both of your companions, Diarmok and
In the cave?
and
Yari?
Yeah, they remember she walked past. You couldn't see Yari, but you haven't seen him. But remember, she kind of pushed off Diarmok to the side, and he kind of fell over and kind of cowering, watched her go out.
Okay. I'm gonna. Oh boy. And she has a scimitar in her hand. Okay. I am going to. Dang. How far would it take Halberad to get here?
So Halberad is equipped with a bow, so he could easily hit anything with a bow from where he's at. He has to travel down the slope, which means it would be about a turn of combat before he would be able to get to you if he dashed.
Okay, that's fine. I am going to take out. Okay. How far of a distance between me and this troll? Are we pretty close?
You're about 15 feet between you. And again, she's looking outwards, not back towards the cave.
Yeah.
And so, in a direct, and Halberad is going to be up to your right. So, about 90-ish feet up to your right.
Cool. I'm gonna check my knife. It's probably glowing.
Yep.
And I'm gonna, stealthily sneak up behind this troll, and I'm gonna take a slash at its hamstrings.
All right, so you have, right now, it's going to be a surprise round of combat, but I'm going to have you roll for initiative.
And this is... Hold on, I have a thing that gives me a bonus on initiative, right? Is it my... Hold on, it might be my dagger.
Yeah, I think the dagger, if you surprise them...
+4 to initiative if you encounter orcs or trolls when so forewarned. Great.
There you go.
Sick. So 19 for initiative.
Nice. All right. Go ahead and so with your which weapon are you using to make your weapon attack? I mean, you could use both. You could just do a double attack if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll start with my main arm and then come with the offhand.
All right. Go ahead and roll to hit.
Oh, hey, they went back down to +6. Look at that.
Oh, sweet. See, I told you.
I don't know what was happening there, but 'cause it's 3 +1 4. Yeah. 2. Yeah, that's right. Okay. We'll use my broadsword first.
Okay.
To hit is gonna be nat 20. For
So
a
in this, it's just
26.
maximum damage.
Okay.
For your
Sweet.
broadsword.
So dang. Okay. 2d8 plus 5. Hot dang. What? Is the
2d8?
broadsword that good?
Oh, no. So D&D Beyond automatically calculates when you hit a crit, it doubles it. So just roll 1d8 plus 5. So it would be 1d8 plus 5, which is
13. Great.
13.
8 plus 5.
Yep, 13.
Great. So 13. I'm like, what the? How did that happen? Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Is it already adding my? Yeah, it is. Because typically damage is just plus your modifier, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's already added.
Yep, perfect. It's your modifier plus your proficiency that's already calculated in D&D Beyond. Right? So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so you you slash with your first sword, and you hear as you just slice through its Achilles. It is now currently can only move at half speed. As you just like cut through its Achilles tendon, as it just kind of like falls back and looks like, "Why? Who did that?" And it just as it's turning around. You have one more chance to make an attack.
I'll use my offhand. Does a 15 hit?
A 15 will hit.
And that will be 7. Wait, does that? I forget. Does this do extra damage? No, it's just the initiative.
Right.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I think that was rolled a 2. Wait. 7. 7
points of damage.
Damage piercing. And I just say, go back to from whence you came, you foul beast.
And it goes, "You're gonna pay for that." As it just goes ahead and it leans up to whack. But it is now the top of the next turn, so you get more attacks. You're number 1 in the combat order. So.
Sick. All right. I'll come at it again with the broadsword.
Okay.
Does a 19 hit?
Yeah, it does.
That'll be 7 points of damage. And then I'll come bonus action with my offhand again. Oof. Does an 8 hit? I assume not.
Yeah, you lunge up with your broadsword, and you're able to slash kind of like the apron, but it makes a big gash and cuts her a little bit as she steps back. She's like, "Well, he's gonna have a belly full with you," as she dodges your next basically dagger attack. And at that point, Halbarad is like, he's just in full sprint down the mountain. At the top of next turn, he will be coming in like right. Cool. We're down the hill. But it is now her turn. So Nelly, she's gonna go ahead and with her scimitar, she's going to make a giant, like long, broad sweep at you. Let's see.
Yikes!
Does a 15 hit?
Yeah.
So you are going to take.
So begins the end.
11 points of slashing damage. And you're able to dodge it to a degree, but it just like slashes you, and she like basically screeches. She's just like, "I could have you in my belly," and she pulls out in her offhand a sack from her. "I'm gonna break your bones. You're gonna pay." As she begins to go to reach forward. That is the top of the next turn, which brings us to you. So.
Okay, is there anything I know that like they have a weakness to, or like?
Well, now that her Achilles is cut, she's pretty slow, and so she's gonna really struggle in movement. And they're big and lumbering. And so, like, the more that, like, you move around and distract them, like, they're easily distracted. So, like, for example, if you wanted to, like, maneuver yourself, like, around to, like, a different way, like, Halbarad can come in and get, like, for example, some, like, surprise attacks and things like that. They're not very, like, aware of, like, what's around.
Gotcha. Cool.
Which makes them very dangerous one-on-one, because they're all out on one-on-one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will move. Oh boy. What a time to be alive. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna. Yeah, I will move. I'll broadcast myself here. I'll move.
Yeah, you could go ahead and move yourself too if you want.
30 feet, 5, 10, 15. It gets an opportunity attack if I leave its range, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will stay there for now,
Okay.
knowing Halbarad is hopefully somewhere thereabouts. Woo, boy! This guy hits like a truck. And I'll take 2 more goes at it.
All right. Main hand attack.
19 to hit.
Yep, that'll hit.
That'll be 10 points of slashing.
Yeah, you slash up at it with your sword again, and as she reaches out to grab you, you cut her hand. As she almost like lunges all out to grab you again. But yeah, dagger.
I will. Yeah, use my dagger attack now. And I will say, strike true as I roll. Oh gosh, a 10.
10 will not hit. You go down to stab her foot and just wedges itself in the wet soil. Fortunately, because the soil is wet, you're able to pull it out. And at this point, Halbarad comes onto the scene, and he has his bow drawn. He's going to go ahead and make a great bow attack at the troll. And he gets a 21 to hit. Not natural 20, but 21 to hit. And he's going to deal to the troll 8 points of piercing damage. And as he does so, you tell that Nellie has not even noticed that. And she looks and she sees to you. I'm gonna stuff you in this sack and break you. And she goes. She reaches out to you. I'm gonna have you make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. Do I have advantage because I'm in my known area? I don't think so. Wait, I have advantage on dexterity stealth ability checks. But that doesn't help. So, dang it. Alright, oh gosh. Saving throw, you said?
Yeah, dexterity saving throw.
Oh, come on, baby. No! This is the end of Cirion, son of Dunedain. So it was a nat 1 for a total of 6.
Okay. As you pull your blade out, immediately this hand comes to grasp you.
Give inspiration or hope.
Oh.
I saw that. Official.
Go ahead and re-roll it.
Inspiration or hope.
Go ahead and re-roll it.
Thank God. I live to see this day. Hopefully. Oh, good. Oh, thank you. 22.
22. She reaches down to grab you, and at the last minute, as she her fingers about to reach around you, you actually see Dr. Mock comes in and pushes you 5 feet out of the way, as he lays flat on the ground, and he is grabbed. And she's like, "What are you doing? Get out of here!" And she just tosses him over to the side, and he gets whacked against the rock. And
oh snap!
Yeah, with that, that brings us to the top of the combat round. So,
oh boy.
You are
Okay.
knocked back prone. So you're prone on the ground, so you can spend half your movement to get up if you want to do that.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that. Oh, that was supposed to say indeed, chat. Sorry. I'll use half my movement to stand up. Is there anywhere I can get like half cover? / how much do I know this thing can move? Like, I know it's slowed, but like.
Yeah, it's going to be
Big.
quite a bit. Probably one of its Achilles has basically been sliced open, and so you could assume it has 2 legs, half movement.
Yeah, well, right. I just, like, what? Do I know what the average movement of
30
this thing
30
is?
feet, 30 feet.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And if you go over here, there's a set of bushes where you would probably be able to get some half cover that you can duck in.
Yeah, I will move. I got 15, so 5, 10, 15.
And you are currently in the bushes. Not half cover, but you're obscured.
Okay. I'll use my because is it a bonus action or a full action to change my weapon?
Bonus action.
All right, I'll use my bonus action to switch to my great bow.
Okay.
And I will take aim on this foul beast. Does a 19 hit?
19 will hit. Beautiful. Holy super high rolls. I like it.
I know. 7 points of piercing damage. And I'll yell, "Get out of here!" Whatever your name is, I forget. Diarmok?
And he
back.
slumped over. I'm gonna have him make a perception check for me.
Oh boy. 17.
He looks hurt. He doesn't look dead, but at the current, he looks unconscious. Not like dying unconscious, but like he hit a rock and he's like currently unconscious.
Yeah. Okay.
With that though, Halbarad, he comes in. He uses his action and he changes to his longsword and he comes over and he's gonna go ahead with advantage slice Nelly in the back.
Halbarad, you can't die. I think you're in the book.
Freaking goodness, he had advantage because without he got a 6 and with he got a 16, which he hits with that. And so he takes his longsword 2 hands and he slices basically like right at like her like kidney area with his sword. And he deals, since he's doing this 2-hand, 9 points of slashing damage. And Nelly, she takes her eyes off of you and she says,
Someone else come to play.
and she goes over and with her basically her scimitar, she's going to go ahead and turn around and do a sweeping motion. This is going
Halbarad?
to
Don't die.
So she's going to go ahead and do that. She got a 22, not natural 20, but a 22 to hit, which definitely hits. And she's going to do it to have Halbarad.
I'm in over my head.
12 points of slashing damage.
Yikes.
As he just gets basically this big giant troll cleaver just like smacks him and cuts his armor up pretty good. He goes, Cirion, aim for the head! As he's like doing everything to kind of like dodge and fall back. Essentially what that's going to do now is you will be able to get the ability to make an aimed shot. So if you continue to use a bow, I will let you spend a bonus action to make an aimed shot, and then you can make your attack with advantage if you wish to do so.
Sick.
Specifically for this next turn, but it is the top of the next turn.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I will move 5, 10, 15. I like 15. Okay. And I will say, yeah, you won't be feasting tonight, troll. And I'll take aim at its head.
Sweet. And you do so. And as you unleash your arrow with advantage,
Good thing. 20, unnatural.
all right, that will hit. You pierce it right in the back of its head.
Sick. And that is, woo boy, 13 points of piercing damage. Max damage.
As it just and it just leans down and its hand goes up and breaks the arrow shaft. And there's just this arrow wedged into the back of her skull. She roars right in the face of Halberad and sends him knocked basically down onto the ground. He is prone.
Crap.
And with that, it is going to be Halberad's turn. Question: what is your passive perception?
That is the question, isn't it? 17.
You notice that there is some movement in the bushes right over here.
Crap. Okay. Cool.
Halberad is going to spend half his movement to stand up, and with his long sword, he is actually going to take a defensive stance. Essentially what this does is he is going to get a +1 to his AC and a -1 to his attack rolls. So with his attack, he is going to, in a defensive stance, slash up at the creature. And he got a 19 to hit. Freaking good. And he is going to deal a total of 8 points of slashing damage.
Oh my gosh, this guy's thick.
Yeah. All right. And with that, yeah, it slashes kind of right across the belly. It is the troll's turn, so the troll is going to continue and is going to attempt to grab Halberad. And so with basically a hand, he's going to make a dexterity saving throw, which he got a 12, and that's against just a straight athletics check.
Oh boy.
That's a 10.
Oh, so Halberad dodges out of the way.
Moves like Jagger.
Yeah, really. And she is pissed. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to the top of the combat round, which is your turn, Kiri.
Seeing this, I will move. I'll yell out, "Make some distance, Halberad. His movement is weak."
Yes, Cirion. As he begins to kind of, in his defensive, take a step back after his dodge.
And then I'll go 5, 10, 15, 20. Wow, hold on. Yeah. I'll stay there. And can I aim for his head again, or am I just normal?
Yeah, not this time. He didn't call it out. So.
Oh, that was a called shot. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, I'll shoot with the great bow again. Oh boy. Does a 17 hit?
A 17 does hit. Dang, you
Come on,
guys are
great bow.
hitting like crazy.
13 points of piercing damage.
All right. And you do so. And Nelly, at this point, she's pissed. You hit her in the shoulder. And she turns around and roars at you as she's going to go in for the charge next turn. Well, I guess on her turn. So, yeah. And so with that, I'm going to. You notice one thing, Cirion, is the movement has begun to follow you, and you can see a beard sticking out of the bush.
A beard?
A beard.
Oh gosh. Is it like a troll beard?
Make a Shadow Lore check.
That beard, or that bush has a beard. Unnatural 20.
Yeah, no, it's not. It is very much a dwarf beard.
Oh, okay, cool. Love it.
And you notice this as Yari comes out, and with his short sword in hand, he yells as he bellows as he goes over to attempt to attack you. As he's going over to attempt to like knock you over the head with his attack. So he is going to go ahead and roll a. There's a 13 hit.
No.
He goes over to attempt to slash you. How do you want to deflect it or avoid it or whatever?
I mean, I'll parry it with my I'll like quickly take out my elven dagger and parry it. Say, Yari, what is the meaning of this?
And he looks to you and he sees the troll with fear and he says, just trying to be on the side that wins. And as he looks and this troll is like rearing up, like about ready to just like go like full out charge at you.
Well, I would switch sides if I were you.
And with that, Halbarad is going to disengage. So 15, 20. He's going to go ahead and take cover in the bushes, and he is going to use his bonus action to make another called shot. He's like aim for the wound that I made underneath the breast, and so there's like a big like where you had originally cut the apron, he was able to cut again, and there's like a gaping wound for that. So that's his called shot action towards you. But yeah, this troll is going to Nelly is going to 5, 10, 15, and is going to. Use her action to throw her scimitar at you.
All right.
And so she's going to take her action to chuck, which this isn't normal, but because this is thrown, it's going to be a little bit less to hit. That's going to be 6 total. And so
dodge it.
It just goes right over the top, and Yari, he falls on his butt. He's like, ah! He just like has this scimitar just goes over the top, and she screams, "Get in my belly!"
What is it, fat bastard over here? Like,
yeah. And so that brings us to the top of the round. So, Cirion, you have, if you want to make a bow shot, you have advantage on it. So.
Okay. Do I have to disengage if I'm with Yari here?
Remember, you parried him and he fell prone, so technically no.
Okay. Oh man. Maybe check your loyalties, Yari, son of whoever.
Yeah,
Don't fight for the evil.
Son of whoever.
15. I'll go 20.
Okay.
And I'll take the shot at advantage. 21, unnatural.
21 unnatural, definitely hit.
And that will be 10 points of piercing.
Yeah, you shoot the wound, the gate wound, and it just sticks it. As she just is she is revving up for another charge. This time, she's put everything she's got into it. But first, Halbarad is doing his thing. He's going to make a. It's like good. Turn over this way, and he takes his bow and he goes ahead and he unleashes a shot too. That is going to be for 14, which does not hit. It hits off the hide of the troll. And he's going to go ahead and reposition himself. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, kind of over towards the cave entrance here. And that brings up Yari. So Yari is he's gonna stand up, and so he's no longer prone. He has 10 feet of movement left. He is going to make a Wisdom saving throw to see if he's fearful or not. And he got a 6, and so he's gonna start running. So he's gonna start running this direction. As he just like looks around as he just runs to like dive into the bushes.
Also, what is behind me here?
It's a river, so like a small stream.
Nice. Okay. Good to know.
Yes. Yeah, and so it's the troll's turn now, and so he's going to take the dash action. Because he is his lumbering creature ability, if he runs into you by using the dash action, which I think is enough. Yeah, is enough. You have to make a dexterity saving throw, and then basically it's an attack after that. So.
Okay.
So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. As it just like lunges into you. It's going to be a contested check, so he is making a dexterity save as well. It's going to be a 22.
23.
Oh! you literally dodge out of the way, like kind of sidestep. I'll allow you to actually physically sidestep as it moves, and it lunges flat on its face, and its head just goes head first into the water. It just and it is prone. So it is the top of the combat round. It is your turn.
Sick. Okay.
Wow. Freaking 23. I was like, there's no way with this 22.
I rolled an 18 plus 5, so. Woo!
I rolled
What
a
time to be
17 plus
alive.
4.
There you go. Wow. Okay. So I'm here now. So I guess I'll switch to.
21, I guess that would be 22. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll switch to my broadsword and that, which takes a bonus action. So unfortunately, I still just have the one attack. But I have advantage, right? Because he's
You have
prone.
advantage because he's prone.
All right. How is it looking? Are we anywhere close?
Yeah, he's
to
pretty
this
hurt.
thing?
It's pretty hurt.
Okay.
You can see
All right.
like all the wounds and stuff. It's bleeding pretty profusely, and by its general demeanor, it's starting to get rash. The thing you know from trolls is they don't have a flight response. They just have a fight response. And so, unless there's something that's bigger than it, which there are very few things that are actually bigger than it, they do not run.
Okay. Great. I will. Yeah, I'll swing my broadsword at it
Okay.
at advantage.
You can also move if you want without disengaging because it is prone.
Sick. That's what I like to hear. 18 to hit.
18 will hit.
All right. And that'll be 7 points of slashing. Piercing. Piercing? I don't know.
It's technically slashing because it's a sword, but it's based off of the rapier, but it's slashing damage.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
slashing. And then I will. I'll 5, 10. What is this? Like a campfire?
Yeah, it's like like a smoldered out campfire, but it's got like wood and like stuff around it, like firewood.
Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'll go over there. Was that the most direct route? No, but great. That's my turn.
All right. Yari has it going to use the opportunity to officially hide himself in the bush. Halbarad, he looks at the troll and he calls back. There's a big bush, so he can't see where you are. He says, he calls out, "How's it looking?"
Looking hurt. Finish it off, Halbarad.
As he's, "Yes, sir." As he goes over and he pulls out his bow and he's going to go ahead and make his attack. Because the troll is prone, fortunately it's big, so it's not a disadvantage. He's just a normal target to shoot.
Yeah.
It's a 17 to hit, which hits. and he is going to deal a total of 9 points of piercing damage. And with that, Nelly gets up and like looks back, and as soon as he does, this arrow right through the back of her eye, and she slumps down onto the ground, very, very defeated.
Nice.
That is the end of combat.
Woo! I thought I was for sure about to die there.
That was good maneuvering. I mean, that's like using the full map. The one thing that like I'm really nervous about, like whenever like these things come kind of like above game, is especially like in combats against trolls, one of the worst things is just to stand there unless you have like a high enough AC to like tank everything.
Yeah.
Because like if they hit, they're gonna hit you hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that out real quick.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have 19 hit points left.
Halberad is sitting pretty at 32.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Is he a higher level than me?
No, his stat block has higher hit points just in general. I think for like survivability, but he's technically a level 2, but he has 45 hit points at a level 2. So I don't know.
What a chonk. What a chonky boy.
I know.
Alright.
He only has a 13 AC, so he's not like super thick, but
Sure, he's just, yeah. They don't want him to die, I get it. He's a character in the book. You can't have him dying, you know?
yeah. And as battle ends, Halberad drops his bow and he calls over. He's like, Cirion, do you have any medicine? As he begins to attend the wounds of Diarmok, and he's bleeding pretty good. Anything, cloth, anything to stop the bleeding. His head's bleeding pretty heavily.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take. Man, do I? I mean, I guess I have. What do I have? Oh crap! I should be tracking my arrows. Ah. I'm just gonna say I used like 5, more or less.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'll
I think
I'll
it
take
was 4
some
arrows.
of my
4 arrows.
cloak. 4 arrows. He is king of the Dunedain. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. I know. I'm like, I feel like I should know this name, but I just forgot.
He eventually becomes. He's given it to him from Aragorn because, you know, Aragorn becomes High King. So.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll like use my knife, cut. Actually, well, yeah, I'll cut some of my cloak, my autumn and winter clothing, and I'll use it to kind of wrap whatever wound there is.
He's slowly coming to consciousness as he goes, and he looks up and he's startled, and he like kind of like tries to like find like his position, and he looks over and he sees a very dead troll, and he just looks up at you and he's just like, and he bursts out into tears and like puts himself like on the floor, like in like prostrate position to the two of you. I'm so sorry. You have no idea what. Please, go help them, as he points to the cave.
I see. I'm gonna also on my way over, I'll have grabbed the scimitar just so there's not a weapon lying about. And
Yeah, this thing's huge, by the way. It's like, it's a thick weapon.
Yeah,
it's very unwieldy, but yeah.
Yeah. No intent to like use it. Just like this shouldn't be lying about. Do I notice? Can I see the Yari? Is he hidden from me?
He's still in the
Did he hide
bushes.
that well?
Yeah, he's hidden in the bushes. You saw him disappear in this general direction.
Yeah.
This Dokin is the last place you saw him.
Yeah. I'll just call out, Yari, loyalty to one's friends and to those who are good is better than trying to place bets on the best winner.
Aye,
And I'll
aye. But I've lived long enough to know to save my own skin. You could tell he clearly has no idea that this troll is dead. There's just casual conversation at the end of.
amazing. Yeah, I'll say rest easy, friends. The threat has been eliminated for now. And then I'll tell Halbarad to watch my back as I enter the cave.
Says yes, as he takes out essentially like a rope as he's looking around as if to like find Yari, as if to rope him down like cattle or something.
Nice.
But anyways, and so you make your way into the cave. Your eyes adjust pretty quickly. It is daytime, so like the light travels in pretty fast, but it gets pretty dark soon.
Hold. That troll's ginormous. It's like the mountain range.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Who needs anything? Who needs a dragon
He's
or
the
anything?
size of Bree.
He's literally a mountain range troll. But yeah, you make your way into the cave, and you probably walk about 50 feet back, and the light's starting to get dark. And it takes a minute for your eyes to adjust, but as they do, I'm gonna have you make a wisdom saving throw. This is against corruption.
Oh! Sick. Let's go. Wisdom. Unnatural.
20 unnatural. You save against the corruption, but it is absolutely dismal what you see in here. You have walked into a troll larder. Essentially what this is there's barrels and sacks of body parts and whatnot, and as you look around, there's blood and just gore all over the place. But at the back there is a wooden tied together with rope cell, and inside are 3 people. It looks like a woman and 2 children.
I will go over towards them.
You do so. And they are like cowering, and the woman is like holding the 2 kids. It's just like, what do you want?
It's all right. We quelled the troll. You're safe now.
All of them.
How many were there?
There's 4.
Alright, we have to be quick then. And we quelled the one, but we're gonna get you out of here. And
please.
Cut open the rope.
So
how are they locked up?
There's like ropes that are like tying the corners of this like prison cell together, so you can just like take it, like cut the rope, and like a side will fall off.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. So you do, as she stands up, and you can tell that she's just weak and emaciated, and she walks over to you and kind of throws herself into your arms, like, thank you.
You're welcome. But we're not out of the woods yet. If you say there's 3 more, so lean on me. I can carry one other, and let's make haste.
Make a perception check for me.
19.
19. With that, as you prepare to leave and gather the children seem to have more energy than the woman. But you look to either side and you see that there's a table that has been very haphazardly slapped together, but troll size. And you see that there is basically like a big piece of parchment, and in the middle of it there is a dagger that is basically plunged into it.
I'll go over and look at it. Is it a map?
You have enough time as you lead everybody to go out. You pull out the dagger. If you want to keep it, feel free. Just a dagger.
Okay.
You look at like the letter, and it's in very, very almost illegible writing. And so I'm gonna have you make a riddle check for me.
Oh boy. Okay. 18.
18.
You can read it. It's going to take some time to be able to decipher, but you can see the title of it. It is written, and this is written in Westron, which is the common language.
Okay.
Plans for the Hidden Valley.
Ah. Okay. I will tuck that away. That seems important. Is there anything else in here that like catches my eye
Just
besides
absolute gore, and it's like almost to the point where it's like retch worthy. It's probably just a good idea to get the heck out of here.
Okay. Do I have a way of like starting a fire?
Inside,
Yeah.
probably. There's like a decent amount of wood. Like I said, like there was like the table.
Yeah.
There's probably like a torch or two that is here. You probably could find a way. Whether it's like make some kindling, at least it's dry somewhat. You could probably scrap it up. I would say that in order to do so, you need to pass a survival check though.
Okay. I will attempt to do so just so that these body parts can have somewhat of a, because I don't have time to like bury them or like do a funeral pyre or anything. So just kind of a hastily trying to
Cool. Yeah, make a survival check for me.
burn them, and I'll gather as much wood as I can. Survival. 11.
11. You're able to start a fire. It starts small, and it doesn't quite get up to roaring by the time you leave, but you kind of leave it to its own devices. As you leave, you see that Diarmok has gotten to his feet and is like leaning up, like holding his head with the bandage against the side of the cave, and he looks over to you and he says, oh, "Thank goodness." And he runs over and he embraces the woman, and the children come up and like, "Daddy!" as they come over, as they like wrap around him. He's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? You're free now." As he basically embraces them all, and he looks up to you, and you can tell he doesn't say anything, but there is actually make an insight check for me.
Okay. Man, my insight today sucks. 6.
He's in pain, but he looks grateful from what you can generally tell. As he grabs his children and his wife, and he looks to you. And actually, now that you look back and forth at him, like you could put two and two together. Like they absolutely look related, especially the kids. But all of them have kind of like this dark, long hair, a little bit of some tan skin, but they are all like similarly emaciated and in some pretty dire straits. And you look off to your left, and you can see that Halbarad has basically hog-tied Yari, and is like has like his like foot on his back, and he's questioning him like actually very calmly but sternly, like, "What is this about? Why did you lead us here?" And like being very not like threatening him with like his sword or anything, but like Yari was an easy person to capture and tie up. And
Yeah.
Classic.
I'll yell over to Halbarad. They tell me there are 3 others. We have to make haste, and we have to go stealthily.
Diarmok, he looks to you and he says, "Do you think you guys can make it? I'm sorry, and he like points to his head and everything, and at this point, like his wife is like kind of like examining it and patting it. He's like, "Together, but I can't help you if," and as he continues to kind of like to walk over towards the direction that you guys had originally like come down, kind of like the small path.
Yeah, I mean, this is my area, so I know the places to go to find safety, right?
You do, and actually there is one place in particular that you know, probably about a half a day's journey from here. There is actually they call it like a ranger's den, where there's like secret, like kind of like hidden like ranger like dens that are there for like the safety in order to like escape like weather, rain, that kind of stuff. You know of one that is there. I'm gonna have you make a nature or survival check for me, either or.
Okay. I'll do survival. Come on, baby. Wow. 11.
And with that, you're able to make your way out, help everybody that needs help. Halbarad is literally has taken one arm, lifted the dwarf up, and is carrying him hunched over on his back like this. And he is following behind you, definitely at a slower pace than he normally would go. But you eventually are able to get out of the rain into this, it's literally a covered small shelter that you're able to slip everybody into. Away from the rain outside.
Cool. I will procure any bandaging and everything that needs doing. I'm assuming there's some basic things here.
Yeah, so there's general supplies for anyone that needs it. It's basically exactly a ranger's cache. So there's useful things. If you need to restock on arrows, there's a weapon or two here and there that are kind of hidden within it. So
I'll restock on arrows. I will words. I will redress the head wound of Wow, I cannot remember his name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or Diarmok.
Diarmok. And I will say to the wife and kids and Diarmok, you're all safe now. This is a very well hidden outpost for my people. So be at peace. The trolls will not find us here, at least for the evening.
The kids are just exhausted. Nobody's crying or weeping or anything like that. Everyone is just exhausted. You're able to uncover a bit of some food, to which the kids lunge for and eat greedily, as they basically fill.
I was gonna ask Halbarad to procure some food, so great.
Yeah, he basically lifts the cloth off of some salted dried meats and stuff, and the kids immediately just lunge for it and start eating what they can. And Diarmok, he looks to you and says, "Not many have been kind to us like you have. Why did you help us?"
You had my word.
But we led you into danger. Willingly.
We do irrational things sometimes when people we love are on the line. I understand that better than most. I'm just glad that we were able to make it in time to save your loved ones. Heads up would have been nice, though. We could have... Luckily, I was in a fairly good position, all things considered, but maybe you wouldn't have a head wound. Consider that your penance.
He chuckles a little bit, kind of morbidly, but he addresses you and he says, "Ever since my family left our home, it has been nothing but being taken advantage of, robbed, beaten, and eventually kidnapped." And Yari at this point, Yari is like he has a sack over his head and just kind of off on the side, and Halbarad is just ignored him. He's still hog-tied and everything off on the side, and he looks to you and he says, "I know Yari meant no harm, but when my family and I met him in Tharbad, let me start from the beginning.
A very good place to start.
My family and I are Dunlendings. Right now there is open warfare going on between the horse people of the Rohirrim and us. My homestead, at least in Dunlending standards, was that of luxury and that of wealth. And it was me and my servants, we decided as war began to creep closer to our home, we decided to make our way north. Sold everything that we could,
for a few silver to some travelers on the road, merchants. We packed everything up and made our way north. We were a tribe, to say the least. When we departed, there were 16 of us, including servants. We made our way to Tharbad, and there were about 12 of us left. A few of us didn't survive the long winter on the road. We got to Tharbad, we didn't find anything pleasant. No welcome. Not a warrior. My family are not warriors. Some people stepped on us, they robbed us, they stole from us. That is, until one day we met Yari, who promised us a share at some of his own personal wealth. I should have known he had other nefarious deeds. And he led us exactly on the same wild goose chase that he had led you. And there, it was not just Nelly the troll, but a number of them. A family of trolls. They had preyed upon us, and they also had preyed upon Yari, which is why I believe he's not completely to blame for this, but he did lead my family into danger. And my servants. The trolls ate my servants one by one. And they kept me alive. They told me that 2 liars is better than 1. More convincing story. They held my wife and my children as captive. And Yari and I were to go out and feed them. They told me to be wary of folk such as you. Yari didn't believe it, he just felt his duty and his tasks would be done. But clearly the Rangers have made an impact here in the Weather Hills. The trolls can't go out and hunt as easily as they used to, and so what better way to survive than for preying on travelers to bring them the next meal? I don't feel good about it. I would do anything to keep my family alive, you understand?
I do. And well, I would have appreciated being upfront about it. I would have been more than willing to help.
You must understand, though. 2 rangers against a family of trolls. We were just lucky, as fate had it, that only Nelly was there.
Yes, however, the Rangers are many, and had we known there was a family, we could have procured more help. All that being said, I guess the timeline as it worked out was good because you now have your family back. I'm glad that today Nelly is gone, and that we now know of another dwelling of those foul beasts. You have my word that we will root out the rest of that family, and they will be in the same place Nelly is.
Thank you. Truly, out of the bottom of my own heart, whatever's left of it, thank you. We don't often see the kindness of strangers.
Well, perhaps you've been meeting all the wrong strangers.
Everyone does what they can to survive these days. Eriador is an untamed wilderness, and my family and I were woefully unprepared. Where there is war one place and relative safety in other places, there only seems to be more shadow and darkness every step we take.
Well, I can help guide you back to wherever you'd like to go within the region. There lies Rivendell to the west, Bree to the east, the Blue Mountains Far East. I can help you get there, the rest will be on you. I don't have much to give in the ways of money or prosperity. Although there are a fair amount of people if you want to travel all the way east. I said west with Rivendell, sorry, east. I apologize. If you want to go to the Far East, there are some merchants in Bree, which you might have seen, that are from Lake Town, Dwelling of Man. You might find they're prosperous at this point, so maybe you could travel back with them, start a life new for you and your family. I think that would be
Bree is a
pleasant.
nice place. Safe, much safer than Thar. But there's something that you should know.
Oh,
When we were trapped, we heard the trolls talking. They were talking about a valley, a hidden valley.
where the ranch is. Sorry.
Delicious.
Sorry.
The trolls are not alone. We often saw orcs come in and out. Someone is moving. We have our fair share of orc and goblins attacks down in Dunland, but they're not as organized as what I'd seen here. This is not just a family of trolls surviving, but they served something or someone. And
And we were quite lucky that just the 2 or 4 of us, 5 of us, got out alive.
And with that, Halbarad, he comes over and he says, Hidden Valley. And Ladris. No one can find that place. And what's the name? Oh gosh, I was using it all day.
Yari?
No, not Yari, the other guy.
Diarmac?
Diarnock, yeah. He says,
not everywhere can be kept from the shadow these days. I don't know what this Igladris that you speak of is. But it will succumb to the shadow. I know it. I've seen my home go up in flames, and as we travel north, even in the winter months, we've seen our fair share of darkness. There is no hiding from what is to come.
I take out my dagger and start cleaning it.
it is not glowing, by the way.
Yeah. Good. It would seem providential that I found you here. And you may be right. This is an organized group. This will be no easy task. And the odds are not in the favor of the Hidden Valley. Now I know about it. Now the Rangers know about it.
Halbarad looks to you like with concern and worry and says, if that's the case, we must warn Lord Elrond.
Yes. Loath as I am to go back there, I think you're right. They do need to know. Perhaps. I'm glad you're here, Halbarad, keeping me honest. As I might be more seasoned than you in some respects, you definitely show a lot of promise. I would not be here today without you, and grown quite fond of you. And as much as I try to lead you on the right track, I believe you're keeping me on the right track as well. Yes, I think Elrond, the people of Rivendell, well, I'll leave that up to Elrond. But we must tell Elrond about this. And we need to get word to the Rangers.
Halbarad, he puts his hand on your shoulder and says, I know not the way. That is a secret only given to those most trusted to Rivendell. I do believe that you are one of them. You must make haste. I will go inform the rest of the ranger communities. I will lead them in this. And he kicks the squirming dwarf. I will lead everybody back to Bree, and I will make sure to tell Talendil at Fornost of what we had encountered. Orathil will know. Erebad will know. And we'll make sure to root out whatever troll menaces in the Weathered Hills are around, but now that we know. Lord Elrond must know if there is something to be done.
Yes. Wish I could go with you, brother, but I see that this is where our story parts.
For now.
Now.
He smiles and he gives you one of those like handshakes with the forearm handshakes, and he looks you in the eyes and says, "You're strong, and I one day hope to become as strong as you."
I know you'll be much stronger.
We'll rest up here, but make haste for the Hidden Valley. I'll make sure that these get to safety and turned into the right authorities. And he laughs and he says, I think they're going to be pretty shocked when they hear Yari has made his way back. And he just shakes his head and he says, the old wardens of Bree are going to be quite enamored when they hear what the favorite dwarf in Bree has been up to.
I guess it doesn't always pay to have a loud mouth, huh?
Indeed. And he bows to you, and with that, that is where we're going to end our session for today. Whoa! Yeah, apparently there was ominous thunder that was perfectly timed with that. So,
Nice.
yeah, the
Not that
path
I
to
would know.
Imladris. That'll be fun. And I know there's
Yeah.
lots of backstory about Cirion that is not divulged yet, but this is kind of a big deal. Heading back to Imladris, but that being said, feel free to take a short rest for Cirion if you want to do so, and then the journey will continue. So a little bit before we jump into more of the thoughts on tonight's session, there is something that I do want to point out. So for the next 2 weeks, so my time in Japan, the 6th and the 13th, both of those weeks are going to be, I believe, the Wilderland Adventure. Is that correct? Cole? You're free to do it on the which weeks? The first and the
let me.
third weeks?
Yes. Hold on. Pulling it up.
Cole has other obligations.
First and third.
So we're gonna try to restructure this so that the Eriador campaign is going to be first and third weeks, and then that Wilderland Adventure is going to be second and fourth weeks. And we'll try to keep it on balance like that. If there is a fifth week, maybe we can throw in one shots where they need to happen. Maybe we'll skip if that's the case, just so we can stay on pace. But that way, every other week from then on, we're going to switch off again Eriador Adventures, because it's happening with players from the West. That's going to be taking place in the morning Japan time, in the evenings during American time. And then for the Wilderness Adventures, that takes place in the evenings Japan time and super early in the morning, in American time. So we have that going on. Both of those campaigns are running simultaneously. And so you'll remember that everything that's happening in Wilderland is happening in the same kind of time period as the stuff that's happening in Eriador. And so there's lots going on within Middle-earth that is to take note. But yeah, quick thoughts, Cole, on tonight's session. You do that, keep talking. I'll be right back. I got to go to the bathroom quick, but I'm listening, so.
Okay, all right. What a ride. Man, well, first of all, super excited to be here. Yeah, that is true. How ironic. The Eastern Australian friends are in Wilderland that the Americans in Eriador. That's true. Yeah, man, what a session. That was great. Really, really excited for this campaign, first and foremost. I'm really excited for you guys to learn more about Cirion. He is an interesting lad. So hopefully my acting skills informed you well enough that he's not the most excited to go to Rivendell. But you know, that's the best thing that you can do to a character is to force them where they don't want to be. So yeah, I mean, man, what a cool story. I honestly was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting the trap of the trolls. I was suspicious a little bit of just the whole thing, mostly of the dude from Dunland.
Yeah.
But man, the fact that Yari too, I mean, I'm shocked, and this is probably just a me, like Cole is probably too trusting, and I feel like Cirion probably is less so. But
well, there's nothing that has happened from Yari thus far that has proven him distrustworthy. For example, like everybody in Bree likes him. And like up until the past couple of weeks, he hasn't been recruited by trolls. You might not know the exact story behind that, but it's probably pretty similar to what Yarmok went through. It's just like, hey, you can stay alive if you give us food, like things like that. And so, yeah, it's one of those things. Like you'll notice a constant theme in Adventures in Middle-earth, and we've seen this a lot in Wilderland Adventure, where evil isn't necessarily evil, but also like good isn't necessarily good either. Like people are like very deep, and there's lots of different like motivations behind, and so like it's really important to like dig into motivations of people and figure them out. Yeah, it's one of those things where like, and the game isn't designed to always be like tricking people about like, oh, this person's good, oh, this person's actually bad and leading you into a troll hole. It's like a few and far in between, but like it's definitely one of those things, and especially like when it comes to the people of Dunland. So Dunland, if you guys know your Lord of the Rings history, is in conflict with Rohan, and primarily Dunland are kind of like a wild people that are seeking the destruction of the men of Rohan. They're in all basically purposes pretty evil, but even among them you can find people that are just like normal and are just trying to survive too. And so it's just one of those things where like when there was like the conversation that like Cirion had, where it's just like what do you think of like the people of Starbad and like Dunland, like there is like, especially the people who are trying to protect Middle-earth, this like prevailing view, it's just like they're untrustworthy, they're not good, because primarily they are, and that's why he's just like, he's like I can't rely on anybody. And it's just like he's just like one thing after another by nature of being like as part of Dunland. Like he's sympathetic, but he also does belong to like a pretty like wicked race of men.
Yeah, and I thought it was kind of a cool one. I thought it was really fun exploring Cirion, and like he's just so different than any other like character I've ever played, because like he's not forthcoming about his personal stuff. You know, like he's just like, I'm here, I honor my word, like I'm here to like do my duty and my due diligence, and that like what's, you know, you don't need to know much more than that, you know, kind of a thing. But is also kind of shrouded in mystery in a lot of ways, so that was really fun, really interesting. Yeah, dude, I thought I was like, after that troll hit me that first time, I'm like, I'm screwed. Like, that took a third of my hit points. If I stay here, I'm done.
Battle strategy is very important. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I'm glad that I went with the build that I did um, because I feel like if, because I'm a wanderer, so it's similar-ish to like a ranger in D&D. Um, and which is just like it's so fun to play, especially with a lot of the like traveling aspects, and like shepherding kind of stuff. But um, yeah, man, it was like I'm glad that I am not completely useless at range. Like I still can do some damage at range, even though up close I'm more dangerous. And I can do more damage.
Dual wielding.
I can
That was
still.
something that threw me for a loop. I was like, a ranger dual wielding. It's sick because it reminds me of like the battle with like Aragorn and Lurtz, the Uruk-hai in
Yeah.
Amon
Yeah,
Pen,
Fellowship.
where they're with during the breaking of the Fellowship and everything.
Yeah.
Like Aragorn's just like fighting with like his freaking dagger and his sword. It's so sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so cool.
So, yeah, and I kind of imagine that this sword or dagger is a little bit like it's a little longer than a normal dagger, but it's not like quite sting length, I don't think. It's like somewhere kind of in
Yeah,
between
it's not a short
the
sword.
two. Yeah, it's not a short sword. Man, but I'm excited. Yeah, and the other thing that I have to remind myself is like part of the reason I was kicking butt and hitting a lot is because I have a lot of things that help me against like trolls and stuff. So that was good. Although, man, yeah, I went into that battle and I'm like, heck yeah, I'm gonna kick butt here. And then suddenly I was like humbled, which like, hopefully it didn't show too much with Cirion, because he would know better.
I'm
than
just glad you didn't get stuffed into a sack.
What?
I'm just glad you didn't get stuffed into the sack.
Oh, man, me too. Thank you so much. Was that you, Forged, that sent the?
No, someone else did.
Whoever sent the inspiration, thank you so much.
Official eyes.
Like, oh, you saved my butt. Yeah. That was almost real bad.
Get that nat 1 to be shoved into a sack. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like my dex is not bad. Like I'm proficient in dexterity saving throws. So like I should be good at those. Oh man, and then the 23 against the 22.
I couldn't believe it. When I rolled that 22, I was like, oh yeah, like you're just gonna get freaking WWE super slammed. Then,
yeah.
Nope. It was just like technically I recalculated it was 21. But still. You still ended up beating it out barely, and it was just like, oh my god, and then he just literally gets up, turns around, arrow through the eye. Oh.
Yeah, that was sick. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was cool having Halberad along. I just enjoy Lord of the Rings, so it's really fun to, like, be here, because it's like, the thing is, I know the books, but I don't, like, know them as well as probably you and Dane. So it's really cool.
Let's talk about that a little bit, just kind of like your first experience of role-playing in Middle-earth. I remember when I first had gotten into the Middle-earth, or what is it, Adventures in Middle-earth, and later the Lord of the Rings role-playing game. Like, I love D&D, but I also love the world of Tolkien, and so being able to, like, play and, like, be, like, a part of, like, this world and things that are actually in motion and moving, like, there's a lore that's already set up, like, because of the time period it's taken frame in, it's like, we know the War of the Ring is coming, and, like, all of it, like, there's so much that happens during this time, it's, like, climactic build-up to, obviously, the War of the Ring. But it's like your first experience, like you're brought into Bree and like you are introduced to your player within the Prancing Pony, something that all of us who like Lord of the Rings and like The Hobbit are very familiar with, where many adventures begin. What are your just general thoughts about that? Like, how did it feel? Was it weird?
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun. Like, part of me was like, man, I'm just gonna go smoke a pipe next to the fire like Strider. You know what I mean? But I'm like, all right, I'm not Strider, so I need to kind of, take from that inspiration. But, um, oh, also Kyle, is Hill Troll like base level troll, or was that like?
Stone trolls are going to be your base level trolls. Hill
Okay.
trolls and cave trolls are kind of like similar. There's like troll chieftains, which are obviously like super duper thick and strong. Things like that. So
That was a lower level.
yeah, mostly a lot of the trolls don't have like more hit points, but they usually have more actions, and so they'll get like a multi-attack or like something like that, which obviously make them much deadlier. But
Sure.
yeah. So and like honestly, I would say a big key to that combat was the fact that you were able to freaking cut its Achilles right away.
I
With
know.
That nat 20
Oh, man.
crit, I was like, oh yeah, you freaking just sliced right through that sucker.
Yeah,
And
that
so
was sick.
having its speed, but essentially what that made me do is you could kind of kite him around or kite her around, and like it forced me to have to do like a charge in order to catch you,
Right.
which the chances of that are like much lower than like the actual hit, because I think Nelly specifically has like a +8 to hit with her weapon, and it's only a +3 or a +4 for her dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
And so it's just one of those things where like it's double the chance to be able to hit with a weapon attack, and so by forcing her to charge, like that was like
Yeah.
a good way to be able to nullify. Where like if you were moving around, she'd be able to keep up with you and just go like whack you around.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so that was clutch.
freaking good work.
Yeah, I mean, the dice helped me out there. I'm glad I was able to get the surprise round. That was good. Like, all things considered, I feel like combat wasn't horrible. Like, I feel like I very easily could have died there. Also, it's interesting not having healing, like, at all. So, like, that was the other thing. I was like, oh crap, I can't heal, so
Oh yeah.
yikes. Because there's like
it-
not even really potions, right? Like
No,
there's like no
so
way to heal.
the only consumable item in Adventures in Middle Earth that are heals are Apollos, which are like you can use a bonus action in order to do it, and it heals 1d4 + 1. That's your heal.
Woo!
So it's like you have to be really careful and like be smart when you're in combat. I mean, you have Valinith. He has some abilities to heal, but they have to last throughout the entire adventure. So he has like some heals if there's like a lot of important stuff to do. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that was interesting. Yeah, but it was really fun. I mean, it's interesting because like I don't know a ton of the lore between The Hobbit and The War of the Ring, like especially outside of like what they
There's-
mention about like Gandalf doing his stuff or like
There's
that
some
kind of thing.
stuff. The one thing I think why it's perfect is because it roots players in like a time frame where like there's important stuff, and kind of like
Yeah.
the whole purpose of Adventures in Middle Earth is it's like because we know like the War of the Ring is coming and like the great evil like Sauron is coming. It's like the adventurers fight every day to just hold evil back at least just one more day, and that's kind of like the purpose. Is like you are in the period right now where it's like right when Smaug died. That's probably like about like the safest that like Middle Earth had been for a while, and now the shadows starting to come back after the necromancer was banished and everything. And now the shadows slowly starting to creep until like Sauron announces himself like as Lord of Mordor again, and then like the shadow really starts to take root again. And this campaign takes place like in those years of that transition, and so you can kind of see like how it's eventually going to escalate from like relative safety to like the shadows becoming ever present, and that's a theme that's in both of the campaigns that are like, oh geez, like what's happening, which is why it's cool to have kind of a look at both what's happening in Rivendell and Eriador, because you're right, there's not a lot that's written about it, and so it's fun to have like campaigns where you can like create villains and like have stuff that like ties into like important events in the War of the Ring and like stuff like that, and already like players that are in the world already have some kind of attachment to some of the events and characters in the world too. So that's also fun.
And it was interesting because like the whoever you mentioned was the king of Rohan. I'm like, I haven't heard that name.
Yeah,
like
King Tangle.
who?
Yeah.
And like Like, how many generations out is that from?
Theoden is
two?
the next king.
One?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it's not
So he is
that
mentioned.
far out. Yeah.
Okay.
King Thengul's a new king though, and so let me
Gotcha.
actually. I think
Do they mention
Theoden,
him?
Theoden might be born. So it's now 2,948. I think Theoden is born in 2,951. So I think he's born
Okay.
like soon, but not like obviously like it's not so far removed from the War of the Ring where like people that existed during the War of the Ring, like for example Halbarad is one of them. He's like part of the Grey Company that attends like Aragorn, Elladan, and Elrohir, like all of them like down through like the Pass of the Dead, and they come and they help save, and they're like in like the battle of like the Black Gate and everything. Like they're like they're freaking sick. Yeah, it's like there's a lot of characters that are like kind of like minor characters that like you get to experience a lot more of in this campaign.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I didn't know there was like war between the what is it, the Dunbad?
Yeah, the
what are they called?
Dunlendings, yeah.
The Dunland, yeah, and the
And Rohan.
Rohan. So I was like, I don't have an opinion against the Dunlanders at this point. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you kind of told me the people in the South are a little nefarious, so you know, street rats. But yeah, I mean, and that it's just fun like making those character choices because like he genuinely like Cirion is fighting for good and like against the shadow, and so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, as long as you're not like directly aiding, you know, the
cause
allies of the shadow, yeah, the cause of whatever. Like, I'm not gonna immediately just hate you, you know, even if you're from wherever. It's just like, I mean, give me a reason to, sure, but like until you do, I'm here.
Well,
I'll protect you.
It's
and
actually
then,
funny because in the other campaign, I could talk about this because this is time way past. There's a couple of like villain types that like they've been introduced to up until this point. That's like one of them was a wood elf actually named Megalyn, and he was just straight up like baddie from the beginning. Like he literally like lined them all up, and in their first encounter killed one of the PCs. Just like straight up. I mean, kind of not really intentionally, but he does. And so everyone's just like, this guy's freaking evil and rough and like along the line. It's like they were level 2, so it's like like this guy's lording his power and like that kind of stuff. He eventually gets disposed of by a giant spider in Mirkwood, but there's another one that they had encountered, the Lord Mogdred of Tyrant's Hill, who literally came into the Folkmoot, which the group was a part of, to discuss like if certain like people were going to become part of the Woodmen. And Mogdred comes in and he's just like, I killed all these orcs. I demand people. I demand women for my troops. I demand gold and I demand weapons. Basically, let me in. And everyone just immediately was like, this guy's the worst guy in the world. And it's like, but there's also kind of like this balance. It's like, and they eventually the party decided to let him into and like become part of the Woodmen and kind of help to vote him in as part of like one of the Woodmen settlements. And he's Mogdred's like a lord that's like hanging on the balance there, where it's like your actions will determine like what he eventually becomes. And so there's like things like that also happen. And so like you have to be able to think of like ways, like people aren't always like scripted to be like, oh, I'm here to fool you. It's like alliances change and move based off of players' decisions and like things like that in this world. And so it's a very real world that it's like when you encounter anybody, there's always kind of like that little bit of like, what do I do? How do I deal with them?
Sure.
So
yeah, which I thought was interesting. I ended up really liking the Dunland guy.
Diarmok.
Like, I didn't expect it because like from the get-go I was like, he's sus. I don't like
he's
this
freaking
dude.
sus, and that's how he's written. He's like, I am sus.
Yeah. But then it was just so interesting because it's so funny because obviously like he's trying to do his best of whatever, but it's like it's so interesting because had they just been up front, my character would have been like, great, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
but it also lends to like the culture where it's like you don't trust people. By the way, this is Diarmok.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's been through some stuff.
He is a looker.
And then this is Yari.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. The bush beard.
Oh yeah,
Um,
the sleeve.
yeah, when he started attacking me, I was like, what the flip? Like, what's going on
You
here?
have a really high passive perception. He was making stealth checks to try to go and sneak attack you. 'Cause he kind of has like a rogue archetype type thing.
Gotcha.
And so he was
Yeah.
like trying to get up there to sneak attack you, but he was just bumbling through the bushes, and you're like, nah, I perceive everything.
Yeah. That's one of the fun things. Like, my perception is kind of insane. So that's
notice
always a
things.
great time.
You notice things. Insight is
Yeah.
a little different, but
Yeah, insight, and it's not bad. It's a +3. It's just like I was rolling poop.
yeah.
Every time it was insight, I was rolling like 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what was happening.
I think
But-
Jess from the other campaign can understand that. It's always like the insight checks that she's like, oh, jeez, and then she just flubs it.
Yeah. So, but I had a lot of fun. I thought it was really, really fun, like, engaging story. It's fun that, like, and that's partly, I think, what I enjoy about Middle-earth is I do know a fair amount. Like, I've read enough. Like, I've read The Silmarillion. I've read, you know, it's been a while, but The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So it's like, yeah, I generally know kind of the geography. I generally know the goings-on. So it's like, a lot of that I can kind of form an opinion on pretty quickly. Whereas in some campaigns, if you're just, like, winging it or whatever, you know, then it's like, I don't know, how do I feel about this, you know? So that's been really fun. Sorry, I know I've been talking a lot about the experience, but yeah.
This is why we talk about it, because it's always fun to be able to listen and think of people's thoughts, especially players' thoughts as you're going through.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, like at the end when it was like, we freaking got him out of there, and then it was like, dude, like I get it. Like your family was on the line, like, and that's the interesting thing is it was like, man, that would have been a noble cause that I immediately would have like trusted you had you told me that, you know, like. So I am curious though, what would have happened if I had said, and I know you know as a DM I wouldn't have, but like what would have happened if I said, oh yeah, we can trash Yari, like what do you have in mind?
Yeah, I mean, so essentially, like, what was going through a Diarmach's mind is, like, that was a way to be able to, like, because what Diarmach deep down was afraid of is anything that would get to Yari, and Yari would inform the trolls of any deception. So his way of saying, like, he was trying to appeal to your greed of trying to get that, but essentially what would have happened is if you would have offed, you would have definitely gained points of shadow, for sure. Definitely gained points of shadow for murder. I think that's an automatic, like, 6 points of shadow. It's, like, insane. But...
Oh, wait, he was talking murder?
Yeah. Like, stick
I just
him.
thought it was like, just ditch him.
No, like, stick him. Like, kill him.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so he was, like, saying, like, if you guys had, like, done that, he would have immediately told you his plight. Because then there's no other ears to hear, like, I need your help. Like, my family is there. I mean, it would have been, like, a one way around it while gaining points of shadow doing very, like, not great things. But, because, like, he was afraid, like, if he said anything, like, who knows, Yari could have been sleeping. And that's why, like, all of, like, the story that he was telling you were, like, partial truths. Like, he was like, I like, went to Tharbad, and he didn't tell you anything about family, didn't tell you anything like that, because he was afraid that Yari would be listening in on, like, anything that was happening. And so... unless like he's like on this weird barrier of like, who do I trust? It's like, you seem strong, so maybe you can help, but I also know that if we get there and I get informed on, my family's automatically dead. And so he's like, his hands are tied in so many ways.
Which I think like that was something Cirion recognized pretty, like, you know, so like, because I don't know if any viewers were like, wow, how are you so forgiving so quickly to this dude who just led you into this trap. Partly it was like, yeah, Cirion gets it, like, he values family, like, deeply, and obviously this will be, you know, more revealed later on that backstory, but like, you know, is like, loves to be able to protect and defend especially families, but like the innocent in general. And so like that immediately was like, yeah, I get it. Like you were between a rock and a hard place. Luckily, we can handle ourselves, kind of a deal. The other thing that's interesting is if you hadn't picked up on it, Cirion kind of has a vendetta against the enemy of Shadow, so trolls and the like. So when there was a troll, it was partly like, oh crap, what's going on? Like, did what's his bucket lead Yari into a trap? Did you like that was my immediate thought was that Diarnok was like got a troll to be there so that like he could kill Yari and get away with the treasure or something. I still somehow thought there was treasure involved. But then the other part of me was like, oh, a great opportunity to take down a troll. Yeah,
especially because it wasn't just you. Like, one of the things is, so this scenario, and this is also a part for me to be able to explain to all of you, is that, like, in this scenario, there is a family of trolls. And depending on the amount of players and stuff, there's, like, a certain amount of trolls. But still, for a level 4, one hill troll is still too strong. And so you needed to have someone like Halberad to be there. To be able to help to a degree. Because he also got whacked hard, too. And so,
I know.
Like, that's 2
you got
hits.
like what, 12?
Yeah, like that's 2 hits that like could have happened. Like imagine like you would have been like on death's door, but he also dealt a decent amount of damage, meaning it was probably very much a very close to unwinnable fight, like against like you versus one hill troll. You might have been able to kite it around for a bit after cutting its Achilles, but yeah, still. Yeah. Because then you would have also had Yari also like up in your business and like sneak attacking you and trying.
Was that a you choice or is that in the adventure?
Oh, that's me choice.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like his whole thing is like he wants to survive and he wants to be on the winning side. And clearly when you see a big troll versus 2 dudes, like you're like, all right, like this is great. And so. Yeah.
Fair. I know, that was just so funny when he tried to whack me, and I was like, what? What are you doing?
Like, and then he's just like, ah! Just like runs away.
Oh, that
you
was
leave,
fun.
you come
I'm
back,
glad
he's
he didn't hit
all
me.
hogtied.
Yeah. Oh, man. Part of me is like, he deserves it.
He's going to the authorities, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, like, I guess I should have been more merciful with him too, but I think, like, because that was the thing, I felt like Diarnak's true character came out when he saved me from the troll, which again was probably just a spur of the moment you decision, I don't know, but,
well, like, his thing is, like, while he might not seem it, like, you are the more trustworthy over Yari, and so this was his opportunity. Sure. It might not just have been to save your life, but so his, like, kids and, like, wife could be saved. And so, the decision there was, like, one out of desperation, like, thinking, like, I trust in you to be able to do this, do it, and then he gets whacked.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair.
Probably not to save your life, but more to be like, you need to be alive so you can kill this thing. Don't get stuck.
Yeah,
inside.
fair. Fair. But still, I mean, the fact that he isn't just like, well, I guess I'll play for the troll now, you know, like, that, and that was the thing, too. The fact that anyone would be so willing to join any part of the enemy, even because they thought they were stronger or going to win, I immediately lose, like, Cirion, that is, like, immediately loses respect for that being. You know what I mean? It's like, so, because he's, like, dedicated his life basically to quelling it, so it's like, yeah, you're allying yourself with the true enemy. That's a little different than, like, I need to protect my family. You know, like, so, that was just, yeah, so I'm really interested. At the end, I was gonna, like, I just imagine, maybe because I've been watching too many dramatic cartoons lately, specifically Arcane, which, neither here nor there, but at the end of this session, like, as I was going to, Rivendell, like, before I set out, I was gonna, like, look at the knife, and, I don't know, just say something like, "Looks like you're going home," and then like sets out or something.
Sorry, I cut out before I gave you the
It's okay.
opportunity.
That's okay. It's hard to like gauge when you want to have those dramatic moments in D&D because it's like, when do you have an overly dramatic player who just wants to like, have this beautifully shot scene in their brain that they're like trying to do? Not very often.
And
so.
also too, the
Yeah.
danger as well is if you just let things keep going, like you'll have like, especially if you're playing with other people, they'll see
Yeah,
that you
it'll
have this,
just keep
the other
going.
players will see that you have this sweet moment. They're like, I want my moment too, and then it's just
Yeah.
like and so it's just like the one shots are the ones to do that. So I'm sorry that I totally
No, it's
stepped
okay.
on that.
It's okay.
Sometimes when there's like things that I'm like, all right, this is where we're stopping. That's where we're gonna end the session, and so it's just like
Yeah.
before anyone else has anything to say. So
Yeah. No, I get it. You're good. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm excited. I'm a little sad it's going to be, 3 weeks?
yeah, I mean it's fine. I know like the next couple of weeks are a little bit crazy, and so
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. So that will be the 19th for you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. That'll give me time to be able to complete some items for you in D&D Beyond and whatnot. But yeah, the next 2 sessions will be.
And I can
Uh,
review a little more my traits. Because I like generally knew the one, but then I was like, wait a second, what specifically does this do now? Like, because I was like, wait, do I get? Because the known lands is just different enough from the
Yeah.
normal ranger thing, so like I just need to review specifically what it does.
I may. So next week on the 5th, would you be able to do a session?
I will be working.
Cool. I kind of figured, and so
Yeah.
I was gonna say because I know that's really close to the like next week, and so yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
continue with that, the 5th and the 12th. I was gonna put up the option where it's like we could do like your guys' shot because the last episode from the Wilderland Adventure people was like them getting together about to start off on the next one. Where like this next
I see.
session for you guys is going to be that episode. So I was like, we could do that and kind of set you guys off at the same time.
Sure. Sure.
But it's totally fine. We'll just do 2 weeks of the other one, and then we'll start off with some regathering in what is it, 2 weeks? 3 weeks from now?
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks.
19th.
From that, so.
I appreciate everyone's patience, but know that I'm really excited.
Hey, I think the other campaign's going to be happy to have 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I will watch Valinet's one shot before session 3. Will I need to know all the things? Will there be
Probably
info?
not, but it'll give you some more background on Rivendell. And so it like that'll be like the best way for you to be able to be like,
Learn
I'm
about
familiar with Rivendell. Because you will be. Your character would be familiar with Rivendell. And
Yeah,
so
very
you
much so.
would understand that. And even Feanor's one shot, it might be good to listen to a little bit as well. That was like I think the episode before that, and so because his is also in Rivendell, and so the events that are taking place in Rivendell will just give you more. You could even
Is he
times
in
2 speed it.
This campaign? No. Just,
No.
just
So
Valinor.
he went because he had to go deliver something to Bree, and so he went through Rivendell, went to Bree, and then he made his way back to
Got it.
Wilderland. So, yeah, they started their adventure actually at the Easterly Inn, one of the places that
Nice.
they spoke about. So that's like kind of like right now their hub is like the Easterly Inn in
Okay.
Wilderland. So,
Is the Easterly Inn past the Misty Mountains?
yeah, so it's in
No.
Wilderland. It's
It
on
is.
the east
Oh.
side of the Anduin. So it's like close
Okay.
to like where Beorn lives, like that area.
Got it. Was that important for me to know, or was that more just like
It's
dropping
like
from the
it's
other
like
campaign?
world connecting, but it's relatively
Okay.
important because you'll be spending time in this area, and if you like find news, for example, like hobbits that are like asking about like the like the brandy bucks in like Wilderland, like it's important to know like important characters that are like doing things, and so it's kind of an introduction to like Dodie and Agatha Brandy Buck. Those were kind of
okay, great.
So
Yeah.
you'll probably encounter like on the road things that it'll be useful information. So
Okay, cool.
all information
Yeah.
is good information. Even
There
if
was
it's
a
not
lot
always
of
the most
info in
useful.
this one, so I was taking notes, but I probably will just have to rewatch and retake notes.
Yep.
So,
That's the
but
nice
it
thing
was-
about them being recorded. So you'll have
Exactly.
plenty of opportunity to do that. But
Exactly.
thanks for playing. It was great. It was a
Yeah.
good time. I'm excited
for
to
having
see
me.
Cirion's journey going forward.
Yeah, I'm excited to see his journey with Valineth and how that plays out. So that would be fun.
He is a boy that likes his huzzahs, and so he is.
Huzzah!
He's quite pompous indeed, and so it'll be interesting to see the
Amazing.
dynamic between Cirion.
Amazing. I feel like it'll be a weird, like, different but similar love-hate relationship between him and Cirion as Luke Salia and Belvin. Maybe not quite as extreme.
Definitely
but, like,
not quite as extreme, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know Caleb here a little bit. The third kind of DMPC character that'll be long-term companion for you guys, because that'll be.
Yeah, because parties of two are no fun.
No, they're great. It's just that some of these adventures require a lot of more than just two people.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
yeah. Because
So-
usually they're built for four, and
Yeah.
it's often really hard to, like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier to make things a little harder for a bigger group than
Yes.
pare it down.
Well, and
for
the
a
thing
smaller
is,
group.
like, there's certain characters that I can't really justify making weaker.
Yeah.
Because, like, their overall threat level wouldn't be quite as important as what they should be, based off
Yeah.
of, like, Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
They need
like,
to be threat level midnight.
they need to be midnight as opposed to threat level, like, Twilight or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be threat level 6 p.m. You
Yeah.
know?
Nobody's got time for that.
Like, come on.
And so, yeah, it's good. Watch Valinor.
Also-
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah. Also, what time is it there for you for this?
It's 12:50 right now.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
afternoon. So, like, I
Nice.
start at 9 a.m. and then I end, and then when daylight savings happens, I'll start at 8 a.m. and then end. It'll be like 11:50. So
Oh, that's not horrible.
it's not bad.
I was thinking it was like, is it like super rainy? I just feel like it's like not very bright behind you. But
So my windows are like this side, and I keep these two windows closed, like curtains drawn, because it like
Got it.
washes me out. I become a ghost. So I have like
wait,
one
so is that-
window over there.
not a window behind you?
No, this is Shoji screen. It leads into where I sleep.
Oh, I always thought that was a window.
A little bit, just a little bit of a peek, so you can see
Wow.
like some like.
Huh. Okay.
Yep.
Now I always thought that was a window.
Yeah, it's the
there
way
you go.
Japanese homes are is it's like a room inside a room. So like I'm currently like in like a hallway technically. There's like it's called an engala. So it's like there's like all around on the walls. It's like all rooms. And so with like some like pieces of the wall in between, but all the way around the side and to the back, it's all windows. And then there's like a second room inside of this room. And that's like it shuts off to help with like circulation. So like during the winter time, you can have a heater on and it traps the heat in. And then like in the summertime, you can like open the windows and like cross breezes come in. So
Nice.
everything is built breathable. So I sleep
Yeah.
on tatami mats. It's great, even though I have a mattress. So
Sweet. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Sweet. We have a couple of announcements before we do peace out for the day. So if you guys don't know, check out the weekly schedule. I will try to stick to it. As of now, unless I get some important documentation that I have to go take care of later today if I get it, I am going to be streaming starting at 7 p.m. some Baldur's Gate tonight. And so join me for that a little bit later. And then Cole on Wednesday in, 2 p.m. Colorado time is going to be playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, his Golden Deer speedrun, a Golden Deer route. No stream on Thursday as Dane is out of town. And then Dane is going to be continuing, and I'm probably finishing Banjo-Kazooie on Saturday for his Saturday stream. So it's a little bit lighter on the streams this week, but it's all good. There's lots of stuff to be able to enjoy with all of us, and so we got lots of content coming out for you next week. Should be a more normal week as far as regular streams go. I know Dane will be continuing his normal streams again, and I will be streaming on Monday. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for all of your patience. We do have a sponsor here, Dai Snacky, their Japanese sweets and luxury treats company. They have a number of amazing boxes from Omakase Snack Box, which is popular Japanese sweets, to their Omakase Looks, which is more traditional Japanese sweets, and they also have character boxes, which is cool to order from them as well. Additionally, they have new springtime boxes. So they have a Sakura box and a Matcha box right now. So if you're interested in that, check them out at checkout. Say Fantasy Forge sent you. It helps us out, helps them out, as they're a small family-run company in Tokyo, Japan. And what else is there? I think that's it. But yeah, check them out. Oh, put your Twitch name in the chat. Checkout. You'll get credit. You'll get tickets for a box giveaway. We just gave one away for the 3-year anniversary stream. And I believe one of our community members ended up getting it. So congratulations to you, Caro. Very, very excited for that. Hopefully you enjoy your box when you receive it. Let us know in the Discord too, because I'm always so curious on like what's in everybody's boxes as well. So we can figure that out. But anyways, I think that's it. May the road go ever onward and onward. Thank you so much. God bless you. Pray for me. I'm praying for you guys. Pray for each other. We will talk to you. Well, I'll see you next week. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Make good choices.